I mean, we only missed one
All right.
thing, so
Yeah.
we could
So
just
I
say a Ganjo Uprising. We both gave a B minus. But
Yeah, a Ganjo Uprising was red, white, X, and we both gave it a B minus. I forgot to hit the record button, and now we're talking about Greasefang. Okiba Boss, one white, black for the 4/3 legendary rat pilot. Eric said A minus. I say B plus. We both think it's a strong card.
yeah, I think just that much upside on a 3 mana 4/3 seems pretty sweet.
All right. Next up here, a Mythic Saga. Hide Hidetsugu consumes all. I probably didn't say it right. One black red for a Mythic Saga. Chapter 1, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 1 or less. So, tokens. Chapter 2, exile all graveyards. Chapter 3, exile this and transform it into a 3/3 trample, Vessel of the All-Consuming. When Vessel of the All-Consuming deals damage, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Whenever Vessel of the All-Consuming deals damage to a player, if it has dealt 10 or more damage to that player this turn, they lose the game. Huh.
I feel like that text doesn't really matter. If
No.
you dealt 10 damage with
You
one
already
creature in one
win?
turn.
Yeah, you've
Yeah.
already won. Uh, I don't know about this one. It feels like weirdly narrow. Like you'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll bring this in because they have so many tokens. I
I mean,
guess
they're
it
going to
is a
be
three
more
three.
playable one drops too in the format.
I guess you're just playing this for the backside, like most of the time, and it is going to be main deckable, but it's not necessarily exciting. Like you're playing an eventual 3 to cast 3/3 trample that can start growing with counters, and then maybe
Yeah,
sometimes you get some value.
some of these sagas are just really hard to evaluate. This is not exciting to me. I mean,
This is in the
obviously, if you
C.
just have the 3 mana 3/3 trample with upside, that's cool, but you don't get it right away.
This is like C range. Um, I would say C plus. I think if you're red black, you're gonna want to play this because like you're not like getting downside. It's basically like you're getting a 3 to cast 3/3 trample with upside and suspend. It's like the front side almost says nothing in a way. That's kind of how I view it in limited. You just get this creature with suspend. So like how often is red black gonna want this suspend creature? I think often enough to keep it in the C range.
I think I'm gonna say D because I don't know if you just want this in every red black deck.
Hmm.
Um,
That's rough though. D.
it's got too much downside to it.
I guess you get this on turn 5 and it's a 3/3 trample, and then maybe it's not as relevant. But I don't know. I'm more
Yeah,
hopeful of. I'll bring it down to a C, but I think D is harsh. I'll say C.
right.
All right.
Yeah, weird one.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Next up, we
Ooh.
have a Hinata Dawn Crowned. So interesting 3 color Jeskai card. So one blue, red, white. So 4 mana for a 4/4 flying trample legendary creature, Kieran Spirit at rare. And it's got spells you cast cost one less to cast for each target. Spells your opponents cast cost one more to cast for each target. So 4 mana 4/4 flample. That's a bit hard to cast because it's 3 colors.
Yeah,
Um,
it's gonna wear
and
modifications crazy well.
yeah, how often are you going to target it? I mean, a lot of the modifications you want are going to be the equipment, so I guess that's not necessarily going to make them cheaper.
E.
It's definitely not bad if you can cast it. It's good. What do you think? Are you excited about it, or is it just
I think it's good. I think it's in the B
solid?
range, but I don't think it's the A range. I think you're gonna know when you're gonna play this. You'll be in a 3 color deck, and you'll be happy to splash this and play it. And I'm trying to think of this color wedge specifically and how it's going to be supported. And I guess red has like some good auras and stuff you could put on here. That could really make this like a pretty ridiculous threat. Uh, I think it's a B at least. I don't know if I go B plus just because of the 3 color cost of it, and then like you said, the upside isn't that. It doesn't feel that big, but like you don't really know until you play like how effective is like that tax going to be on the opponent. I guess the tax actually might, cards like this are surprisingly annoying and limited when you have to pay 1 mana more. Like it's surprising, like if you think of Thalia type effect, it actually does do something. So this is at least a B. I'm not sure if it's a pull. I don't know. B or B plus. I'm torn between those two.
I'm thinking B. You can also look at it as kind of like it has Ward 1 and
Yeah.
your stuff has Ward 1. But it's not exactly that. It's a little bit better. So I like it though. So I'll say a B. Mostly just the fact that it's got a restrictive mana cost. And I'm wondering, like, in
I'll
blue red and red white and blue white, do you want to splash this?
I'll say B plus just because I think that once this hits the battlefield, it's going to be a real threat, and that gives it a lot of value. And I think it all adds enough value to boost it up a little for me. All right.
All right.
Next up, we did this. That's uncommon. All right. Ishin, Two Heavens as One. It's Mardu mana, red, white, black for a 3/4 legendary creature, human samurai. It has really cool art. It's at rare. If a creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So this looks like kind of like a commander card. I don't know how much build around potential there is if you're thinking of cards that we've already reviewed that this is going to be spicy with. I do think there's going to be ways to make this strong, and it's going to be a build around.
Yeah, so red white has the attacking alone samurai warrior kind of theme, and so I think this fits into that.
Right, you get a bonus for attacking alone, and then you get double that bonus.
Yeah, so that could really add up. Maybe it doesn't matter for giving lifelink for attacking alone, but there's one card that taps a creature if it attacks alone. There's a card that gives +1/+0 if it attacks alone, +1/+1. So I think this is good. Again, it's tough to cast, so I don't want to get too excited about it, especially when it's a 3-drop and you really would rather have this early to mid game than have it late game, even though it's going to be fine late game. I don't want to get too excited about it.
I guess I feel like this is going to sit there. Like you're going to know when you want this because you've built around it. You're just going to want to abuse the effect. And it's just going to be like a solid enough creature to sit there and like stall the board out while you're able to get in with that one attacker to get those triggers.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a B- just because it's like hard to cast.
B-.
If this was just 2 colors, that'd be a really different story, I think.
For sure. I mean, but there's going to be multiple or whatever, all the color shard. Yeah. I think at rare. But yeah, you got this one.
All right. So next up, we got our first Planeswalker to review, which is Kaito Shizuki, which is 1 blue-black for Planeswalker Kaito at Mythic, and it starts with 3 loyalty. And at the beginning of your end step, if Kaito Shizuki entered the battlefield this turn, he phases out. And then it's got +1 to draw a card, then discard a card unless you attack this turn. -2, create a 1/1 blue ninja creature token with this creature can't be blocked. And then -7, you get an emblem with whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, search your library for a blue or black creature card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. So I think just looking at Planeswalkers, you usually want to look at what are like the most common patterns with it, and what does it look like if you kind of start with just plussing it? What does it look like if you minus it right away? What's nice is the phasing out that's its protection for the first turn, so that's pretty nice. Because if you can even just play it and then minus it, it goes down to 1 loyalty, and then you've got it protects itself, so it's probably going to survive till the next turn. And
right, so it's kind of like it enters with 4
creature, and then you plus it to draw a card the next turn because you can probably get an unblockable attack in.
Yeah, it's kind of like it enters with 4 loyalty and you get to loot. which is cool.
Yeah, this seems really good, I think.
Hmm.
Um, and it's also just it makes a token. If you need to block with a token, protect it. I mean, I don't know if that's the general pattern you're going to want to play with it, but that's nice. So it's good flexibility, and I think you just get a lot for a 3 mana planeswalker. So I think this is quite good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to warp the
Um,
game a little bit.
so I think it's an A. I think it's an A.
I'm not sold on A just because yes, it protects itself for that first turn, but then it doesn't protect itself at all anymore after that. And it's so I kind of view it as it enters with 4 loyalty and then doesn't have built-in protection for itself. So that is a little bit of a downside for me. I think I put this at
Yeah, it protects itself by making 1/1 tokens.
that's fair.
Those can get, and
That
then you
you
can
can chump.
develop your board.
All right, yeah.
Even if you do this turn 3, you can develop your board turn 4 to
I'm at
protect it.
I'm at A minus. I think it's really good, but yeah, I'm not sure if I put it in A.
All right.
Um,
Yeah, it seems really cool though. Hoping Ninjas isn't super busted because this is just going to make those decks even better.
yeah, absolutely.
All
Sorry,
right, you got
I
the
had
next
to
one.
answer this. This text. All right. So next up, the Kami War, 1 Wooburg for a Mythic. Exile Chapter 1, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls. Chapter 2, return up to 1 other target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, then each opponent discards a card. And then you exile and transform it into O Kagachi Made Manifest, enchantment creature Dragon Spirit. It's all colors. It's a 6/6 flying trample. When it attacks, defending player chooses a non-land card in your graveyard. Return that card to your hand. It gets plus this card gets plus X plus O until end of turn. Rex is that mana value of that card. This is good. Obviously, going to be really hard to cast, and we have to take that into consideration. But it does give you the power boost for being able to cast it, I guess. But I feel like once you get to Wooburg mana, won't you maybe already have lost the game?
This is so powerful though.
It
I think
is.
this is worth it. If you can pack one, pick one. There are a lot of good lands that you can get as fixing, even at common, and there are 2 common artifacts for fixing. So just that colorless fixing, even if you're not in green getting fixing, I think if you start with this and you kind of build around it, that's super powerful. And even though it has Wooburg in it, I think I'm going to give it an A.
Oof. I think you gotta give it some tax for being Wooburg in the
Yeah.
limited set. I don't think that makes this an A. Maybe a build around A.
Yeah, I'd say build around A. That makes sense.
Exile target non-land permanent opponent controls. Turn up to 1 other to its owner's hand, then each opponent discards a card. I guess late in the game, this is just get rid of 2 cards.
Yeah, so like
Yeah. Bounce this
yeah,
to your hand and you
first you
discard
get
it. Yeah.
yeah, first you get a 1-for-1, getting rid of your opponent's best thing. Just if you can resolve this, you're just
You win. Yeah.
probably 90% chance to win. Because you get first a 1-for-1, then you get a 2-for-1 plus tempo if you bounce something, or it turns into a 2-for-1, and then you flip it, and it's a 3-for-1, then you attack, and it's a 4-for-1. So just kind of
Right.
just
When you
every turn, it gives you another like
defending player chooses a
big
non-land
card worth of value.
card in your graveyard, return that card to your hand. They get to choose the card. That's cool. That's interesting. So it's like they'll give you your whatever is worst spell or your lowest cost spell goes to your hand, and that pumps this that. I'll go A minus. Build around A minus.
All right, yeah,
I
I'm
do
really
think
looking
it's
forward to
really
playing with
powerful, and it's a sweet build around. I'm going to try to build around it, but yeah, I'm not convinced how easy it will be to build around it. I guess that's my hesitation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad there's effectively an evolving wilds. There's a tap land of any color, and there's those two artifacts at
That's
common. I
true.
think there's going to be good fixing for it.
There's the dual lands at it common for each color combination. That helps a lot, a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's definitely going to be the most fun build around. Probably. We're gonna try it for sure.
Yeah, because some of those build arounds like this, we just had like Necro Duality, which is a really fun mythic build around, which looks kind of restrictive, but again, those things pack one, pick one. You can really uh, go off with them if you start the draft with them.
Do you want to start this one? I am gonna make like a quick like 20-second phone call. I'll mute myself and then I'll be
Yeah.
back to share my thoughts. All right. Sorry. Go
All
ahead.
right. So here, next up, we have Kotos the Silent Spider, which is, I don't think you're muted yet. Okay, now you're probably muted. All right. Which is 3 blue black for a 4/4 legendary creature human ninja at rare. And when it enters the battlefield, exile target card other than a basic land card from an opponent's graveyard. Search that player's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name as that card and exile them. Then that player shuffles, and for as long as you control Kotos, you may play one of the exiled cards, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. So there's a lot of text there, but for the most part, you're getting a card from their graveyard that you can cast. And so that's a good 2-for-1 if you can do that. And then best case scenario, you're also going to get a card from their hand. And in addition to that, you get the information of what's in their hand, which is pretty valuable too. So I think I'm gonna have to read this a couple more times, but it's got a lot of text and it's all looking pretty good. And so I think this might be an A as well. Like you'll play it, you probably have to like untap to then get the value to play something off of it, but you're going to get the information from what's in their hand and know what you might have to play around after that. And I think that's really valuable.
Yeah. So it's a 2-for-1 plus the value of looking at your opponent's deck. I guess sort of a 2-for-1 since it's in their graveyard, but I don't think I put this at A. I do think it's very good. There is a lot of graveyard stuff going on. As long as you control, you may play the one card exile. Oh, okay. Never mind. That makes it really good. I've missed. There's so much text that I missed that you could exile it and play. So it is a 2-for-1.
So it's if you get a card from their hand, which you might get if you're like exiling
if there's
a common
multiples
removal spell,
right?
Exile a common removal spell from their graveyard. Not only do they not have that removal spell if it is in their hand, like the best case scenario on this is pretty crazy. Like really,
I'll say A2. I'll say A2 just because this is like pretty wild value. I get kind of what's it called vibes from it.
Gonti or
Gonti / the blue black flyer. Like you get that kind of effect. It's pretty powerful.
So I think it's really good, and kind of the bad case scenario, which is still not even that bad, is you play it, they probably have to spend premium removal on it, like to kill it, and that's fine. Usually just something that draws out premium removal is going to be good too, and then you get additional information.
Yeah, this card's great.
Pretty good. It's A minus range for me.
Yeah, I'll say A. Okay, next
up.
up.
You want to do the next one?
Mm-hmm. Ryu, Storm's Edge, 2 red-white for a 3/3 legendary creature human samurai. First strike. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, untap it. If it's the first combat phase of the turn, there's an additional combat phase after this. So if you had this with the Mardu, would you get 3 combat phases on that turn. I think so. That's kind of crazy. So yeah, it's a
Oh
40.
yeah,
It's a 40 cast
that's
3.
pretty good.
40 cast 3/3 first strike. I'll be trying to do that, I guess, but you'll need 2 rares for that.
Mhm.
3/3 first strike. Whenever warrior attacks alone, untap it. If it's the first combat of the this helps. This helps this archetype a lot, right? Because the tension that we were discussing between being aggressive and attacking alone, like being able to get in with your biggest evasive threat twice in a turn, is pretty sweet. So
Yeah, this is a big payoff for the attacking alone deck.
yeah, this is at least a B plus. I'm trying to decide if it's an A minus. I'll say B plus. I think this is a strong B plus.
All right, I'll say A minus. Maybe I'm a little bit higher on some of these rares. Definitely seems real good without much downside as a 4 mana 3/3 first strike.
That's fair.
All right, should I do the next one?
Yes.
We have Rizona Asari Commander, which is 1 red white for a 3/3 legendary creature, human samurai at rare. It's got haste, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, if it doesn't have an indestructible counter on it, put an indestructible counter on it. And whenever combat damage is dealt to you, remove an indestructible counter from it. So 3 mana 3/3 haste, that is like a B plus there, I think. So
I'm not sold on B plus for a 3 mana 3/3 haste, but yeah, because we've had that at uncommon before, and it hasn't. I guess it just depends on the set.
I usually like those in aggressive decks. Because I think so. If did I say B plus or did I say C plus?
You said B plus for a 3.
Oh, I didn't mean. Okay,
Oh,
I was thinking like C plus or B minus. So I didn't mean B plus. Okay,
Molly says hi to
So-
everyone.
how much better?
She's
Hi,
just
Molly.
standing there in the background.
Oh, I didn't see her.
That's all right.
So how good is this additional ability? What's cool is like if you're the one, you're aggressive in red white, you're applying the pressure. If you can get 1 hit in with this, which the fact that it has haste means you can like maybe set up a turn where it's like, okay, now I can just play this and attack with it. And then you've got an indestructible creature attacking alone with like buffs. That can be really hard for your opponent to deal with. If you are on the back foot, then whatever, at least you had a card that's at a fine rate. And you don't necessarily, if they attack with multiple creatures and you block with this, well, it's indestructible, and then they hit you and that loses the counter, then you're going to lose this creature. So I think that's something you have to be careful about. But I think this has big upside for the attacking alone deck, and it's fine on its own. So I think actually I'm going to give it a B plus because of the context of the set.
I'm not sold on B plus for this. It's a 3 to cast 3/3 haste. If it hits, it becomes indestructible. And it's like red white for the 3/3 haste. I don't know. I'm gonna come in low. I'm gonna say B minus, and I feel like it's being a little optimistic to say B minus, but yeah, B minus for me.
I think there's some. I think there are going to be some games with this where it's going to be like, oh my god, they're attacking me with this indestructible 3/3 that just keeps on growing and like getting lifelink or +1/+1 every turn, and you just have like this free big attack.
Yeah,
every turn. Like,
I guess
once
you
get
hit
it going,
it
it's just
once.
crazy.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I'll say B. I'll just stick at B minus. I could go up to a B. I'm close there, but I don't know about B plus. But maybe I'm wrong.
All right. All right, makes sense. You want to do the next one?
Yep. Satoru Umizawa, 1 blue-black for a legendary creature human ninja at rare. It's a 2/4. Whenever you activate a ninjutsu ability, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Wow. This ability triggers only once each turn. Each creature card in your hand has ninjutsu 2 blue-black. Wow.
Pretty cool.
So each ninja turns into anticipate or whatever that card was. Each hit with a ninja.
Yeah, just like getting an extra like better than draw card off of that. On top of a 3 mana 2/4, which is fine stats. This is pretty good.
Yeah, this is one that I'm happy to put B plus, or I'm not sure if I go A minus. I mean, this is so good in the ninja deck. It's kind of crazy. Because imagine this just being paired with whatever other value you're getting from the ninja that hits. Like this ninja says, do this, and I get to look at the top 3 and put a card in my hand. Like the value is going to be kind of crazy. I'm going to say A minus. For the, you'll know when you want this. Obviously, it's a synergy card, but yeah.
Yeah,
A
being
minus.
able to ninjutsu in creatures that aren't supposed to sneak in, that's gonna be pretty cool because, yeah, just imagining, like Limbo Team mentioned, just sneaking in big creatures, sneaking in creatures that are supposed to be hard to get through or something, even though it's a decent amount of mana, paying 2 blue-black and returning a creature to get the one creature in, but
Just even the
it's
first
really
part,
nice
I
upside.
think, is pretty powerful in a ninjutsu deck. But yeah,
Yeah. Um, A minus does seem it's kind of like, yeah, you're gonna want it
synergy A
in
minus. Yeah,
in a specific kind of deck,
sure.
and it's
Synergy A
fine on
minus.
its own, but big upside again. So yeah, I'll say A minus.
I feel like this is like a B in any deck and like an A minus in the like ninja deck, something like that.
Yeah, we're seeing a number of things like with the warrior samurai attack alone deck, the ninjutsu deck. It's like
Oh
you're
yeah,
rewarded for being attacking. You're rewarded for being the one putting pressure, and this could be a bad blocking deck or a bad blocking format. It could be a bad format to not be the aggressive deck.
right. And then Chap makes a point about you could have a pretty good discount on some of those thicker, bigger like threats with the giving that 4 mana ninjutsu, like maybe some of those, that 8/8 trample artifact that you said, like, oh, this actually seems pretty good and like not too hard to cast. Like if you just had one of those in your deck and you had ninja on that or something, that's pretty wild. So there's going to
Yeah,
be some crazy tempo plays with this card. Yeah, I'm excited and nervous about ninjutsu.
it's weird, but one thing about ninjutsu is it's it feels tempo-y, like especially when you have the like one drops and stuff, and you're really kind of playing out all the cards in your hand pretty quickly. It feels like a tempo-y deck, but it's also you are taking a tempo hit usually whenever you activate ninjutsu because you're bouncing one of your cards back to your hand. Um, so I think there's that kind of balance. You want to gain tempo, yeah, by getting a 5 drop, 6 drop with this ninjutsu ability, because you have to make up for the fact that you're losing tempo by bouncing your other creature to your hand. But the ninjutsu deck is designed to uh, reward you for doing all that. So you have ETB stuff and other things.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right, yeah,
All
that
right.
card is sweet.
And next up, we have Satsuki, the Living Lore, which is green white for a 1/3 legendary creature, human druid at rare. And it has tap, put a lore counter on each saga you control, activate as a sorcery. And when it dies, choose up to one. Return target saga or enchantment creature you control to its owner's hand. or return target saga card from your graveyard to your hand. So green white, we did talk about how it's doing the enchantments thing, and you definitely want sagas in that enchantment green white deck. And so this is 2 mana for a 1/3, so that's whatever. But I think speeding up your sagas, that's really good though.
Right, because you
I
want the
like that.
backside of your sagas pretty often in this set.
Yeah, and the dies trigger on this, that's harder to control and get value off of it. Like, yeah, maybe you'll chump
It's
block with this sometime,
it's
but
kind of a strange card though.
if you have green white and you have like the cheap sagas, then you could like really be going off with this. And
I guess, yeah, end of turn, my turn. Okay, now I've got the this creature, that creature, like, or whatever, more value moving. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, you have to tap it on your turn because it's a sorcery,
It's a
but
synergy card for sure.
this is gonna be fun. And like getting this early in a draft, this will be a fun build around. Um,
Yeah,
and
there's
then
so many
Alchemist
sagas
Blade.
at common that this, yeah, it does have a lot of support.
I'm gonna say B for it.
Build around B or
Uh, yeah. Well, I just think the green white deck, you'll be able to
right.
like, yeah. You don't play it if you don't really have sagas or enough enchantment creatures and stuff. But I think it's just I'll give it
It's
a
weird
general
that it has
B.
return target saga card from your graveyard to your hand. Like, how often is a saga going to be in your graveyard in this set? Because like the way that they're worded, they exile and transform. I guess if
Yeah,
the
I
creature
mean, but they
dies,
become a creature and you
yeah, if
trade
the
it
creature
off.
dies, then it flips back to the saga. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'll say B minus. I think it's a cool card. I'm
All
not
right.
like stoked on it, but I do see the
All
value.
right.
All right, next up,
Yeah.
there's just a little bit of text on this one. Spirit Sister's
Yeah.
Call, 3 white, black for an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, no. At the beginning of your end step, choose target permanent card in your graveyard. You may sacrifice a permanent that shares a card type with the chosen card. If you do, return the chosen card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it gains. If this permanent would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Okay. Make sure I understand this correctly. Your end step, choose a permanent card in your graveyard. You may sacrifice a permanent that shares a card type with the chosen card. So you could trade creature for creature, for example. If you do, return the chosen card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it gains this permanent. Okay, this is an interesting build around. I like that it says permanent. White black has the enchantment artifact kind of theme going on here. So there's a lot of potential here. And there's a lot of like graveyard stuff going on in this set. So you could just be like, okay, improve my board each end step if I can, basically. Sack this, replace it with that.
Yeah. This is pretty cool.
It's really expensive, and it's one of those cards like people are going to be like, wow, that's a lot of text. I just don't want to play this. I feel like people aren't going to really play this. This is one of those cards you have to just play. Like, remember Helm of the Host and some of those other cards that were just like, oh, I don't know, like people were just like, that's really expensive and clunky. I don't know how good that is. Well, I guess that's not a good example because the upside was crazy. But you get what I'm saying. It's one of those cards that you're just going to have to try. A little bit harder to evaluate. So does this make up for the tempo loss? It does, I guess, because it's your end step. On turn 5, you're most likely going to be able to find some value, I would say. Is it going to be 5 mana worth of value on average? Probably not, but you could set up your deck in a way to make this work. I'm going to say this is in the B range easily. I don't know until I get to play how much I'm going to like this one.
This has a lot of potential.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
there are since there are a lot of things that are enchantments, for example,
Yeah,
you can have enchantment creatures, you can have
getting
sagas or
that
whatever.
saga value, that's true.
And you
Get
can also sacrifice those to get the enchantment
You can't loop
removal.
because the card that comes back, if
Yeah,
it
you
were to
can't
die,
loop
exiles.
back and forth. But you
They
can get the like black common removal spell, which is an aura that destroys a creature. So you could get that. You can get the white arrest card,
I like
And
this card a
so
lot. Yeah, I'll say
getting
B.
those back is cool. So you can get removal, you can get creatures, and
This could
you can
easily.
have little artifacts that you can sacrifice to get big artifacts back.
That's a good point. There's a lot of synergy here. Um, I'm just gonna say B though, but I could easily see it getting pushed up to B plus or being like, wow, windmill slam. Like depending on how this plays out, I won't really know until I try it. So
Yeah, and there are also cards in black and white that are going to be good sacrifice fodder for this. You have the rat, 2 mana 1/1. They discard a card, play
yeah,
that, and that's good to sacrifice. You have the dog, which is 1 and a white for a 1/1. You draw a card, play that, draw a card, get some value, sacrifice the 1/1. So good things in black and white that are really going to go well with this.
so the sagas that have transformed to a creature, when the creature dies, it goes back to the graveyard as a saga. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
its front side will be its saga.
Right.
There are enchantments on both sides, though.
That's fair. That's fair. That's a good point. And there's enchantment creatures. Yeah, this is crazy potential. You know what? I'll say B plus. Like I'm convinced that the power is there.
All right. I'm saying like build around A minus.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I'll say build around B plus.
That's gonna be fun. All right, ready. Next up,
Ugh. Ugh.
there's a weird card.
Oh, this is a great card.
Yeah.
That's
So
absurd.
we have Tameo Completed Sage, which is 2 green, blue, and then the completed Phyrexian. What do you call it? Hybrid Phyrexian.
Mm-hmm.
So this costs either four mana and 2 life, or 5 mana. And so first I'll just read the non-completed part. But I guess
Yeah.
if you pay the life, then it enters with 2 fewer loyalty. So
Right.
you have 5 mana for 5 loyalty, or 4 mana and 2 life for 3 loyalty. And it has +1, tap up to 1 target artifact or creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. It's got -X to exile target non-land permanent card with mana value X from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of that card. And -7, create Tameo's Notebook, a legendary colorless artifact token with spells you cast, cost 2 less to cast, and tap draw a card.
Yep.
So
This card is absurd.
thinking about this, freezing down something
Protects
protects
itself.
it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's nice. I'm thinking about if you're gonna -2, -3 this a lot of the time to get
You can, and it'll be really
2 or 3 drop token.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty flexible. This is quite good. If you play it for 5 mana and plus it,
Yeah,
you
it's crazy.
protected it against their best creature, and it's at 6 loyalty,
This
so
card is
that's
ridiculous.
really good.
Yeah.
So I think I'll give it an A.
I'm gonna give it an A plus. I
All
think
right.
this is the best card in the set that I've seen so far, easily.
Really? I think it is. It's quite good.
I don't see the
And,
downside,
yeah.
so A plus.
Yeah, it doesn't have downside. You're getting nice flexibility to be able to play it on 4 or 5 too, and so
Right.
it's going to be really sweet.
Cool. That's it for gold. Let's go to white now. All right, first up, Ayo, the Dawn Sky. Cool art here. 3 white for a legendary creature, Dragon Spirit at Mythic. It's a 5/4 flying vigilance. Nice. When it dies, choose one. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put any number of non-land permanent cards with total mana value 4 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Or you could put 2 counters on each permanent you control that's a creature or a vehicle.
Wow.
Yeah, this is an A. This is just an easy A to me. It's a 5 to cast 5/4 flying vigilance. That alone is really powerful. And then when it dies, you have a crazy effect of replacing it probably with 1 or 2 cards, so it replaces itself. Or if you need something like putting counters on everything to make your whole board a threat, if you're already wide, you can do that. This card is sweet. I don't know if it's an A plus, but like it's up there because it's a threat on its own, and then your opponent's like, I have to exile this. If I can't, and I can only kill it before it kills me, then my opponent gets even more value off of it. So I don't know. It's a crazy card.
Yeah, super good. It is kind of like, what is this, an A or an A plus to me?
I think it's an A. Yeah.
There's the arrest. There are like a couple common removal spells that do take care of it.
That's maybe why it's an A, yeah.
But there may not be as many nice answers as there were in like other sets.
Sacrifice this after it's under arrest to that enchantment we were talking about to trigger its ability and get something else out.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of the different ways you can sacrifice if you have black in your deck.
This card's great.
There are a few things.
I'll say A,
sacrifice stuff.
but it's an easy at least an A for me.
Yeah, I'll say, man, this is just so good. And
I give Tamiya the boost because of the like game warping aspect of it. Like the fact that the whole game warps to that card. I mean this too though. So
this too, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
whatever.
If we're playing
hairs.
a paper game and you open an AO and a foil Tamiya and you're picking between the two, I might be more likely to take the dragon. But I'm not sure. They both seem like super good, and it's pretty close to me.
Sure. I mean, you make the argument that this is one color. I could see that.
I think I'll say A.
All right, like A for me.
The A pluses, I guess I'm thinking of the cards we have. Like, obviously Glorybringer is the kind of card where it's like, it's one of those dragons, but you get the extra card of value the turn you cast it to. This, you get crazy value once it dies, and it's a huge threat. So
this card's
really close, but I guess that's where I draw the line between A and A plus for this.
I'll say A for this.
All right.
Card's great. Whew. That'll be a fun one to open and play. All right, here you go.
Next up,
fun one.
Next up, we have Brilliant Restoration, which is 3 white, so 7 mana for sorcery at rare. Return all artifact and enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. So I guess a couple of things, like how good is that effect? And then, like, assuming you can cast it, how good is that effect? And is it good enough to go out of your way? How much do you have to like build around that?
I like this card. I don't think it's super strong in most scenarios, but sorry, go ahead.
So if you can set up having artifact creatures and enchantment creatures and sagas, and so like just all of your permanents are basically artifacts or enchantments, which I think it might be kind of doable. But like, say you're mono white or you're very heavy white splashing another color, then you'd play this. I think this has some serious upside. Usually this card,
it's a build around,
yeah, usually this card in just a random set, you're like, return all artifacts and enchantments. I can't get that much. I probably can't set that up very well. But in this set, this is going to be better than it would have been otherwise.
So I did what Led was saying. I was wanting to say there is a channel card that seeks out planes from your deck and you gain 2 life. So you're going to be wanting to think about synergies like that to help negate the casting cost of this. But what do you say?
I like this. I think it's a build around.
Yeah, me too. This seems like a fun build around.
I guess the tough thing
is
not having the artifacts and enchantments. It might be like setting it up and getting them in your graveyard, which either you have ways to just trade off stuff, but like there aren't really self-mill kind of things from what we've seen, so that could be a knock against it.
It's kind of rots in your hand sometimes, or a decent amount of the time too.
Yeah, because this is either going to be pretty bad or it's going to be like insane in like the board states where you'd play it. So
what do you say for a build around grade?
Build around B plus.
Yeah, I'm gonna go lower. I was gonna say build around B or B minus, like just because I'll have to see I'm worried about it getting stuck in my hand, and that's a real downside.
Yeah,
So,
I wouldn't play this. I wouldn't play this in a deck that's
oh well, even in a deck where
really,
you built around it, like some draws, you're just going to be like, "Damn it, this card's in my hand."
yeah,
So
like, oh, I just have like a 2-drop enchantment in my graveyard.
build
And
build
that's
around
it.
build around B minus for me,
All right.
but it's a cool card. I will be trying it out for sure. All right, next up,
Cool.
Cloud Steel Kirin, 2 white for a 3/2 flying artifact creature equipment. Equipped creature has flying, and you can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game with reconfigure 5. A 3 to cast 3/2 flying, full stop. Nice. I like that card. Solid in this set too, where reconfigure modifications, all that. It's just kind of plentiful. I'm gonna be picking this kind of card highly. So it kind of puts it in the B range for me. The reconfigure is interesting. You can't lose the game. Your opponents can't win the game, and giving something else flying. I don't. I'm trying to think of how often you'll use that, but I think this is like a B plus card for me. I think it's solid, and it's a pull into white.
I think this is really good upside on top of just having a 3-mana 3/2 flyer.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
giving
like,
something flying alone is pretty nice. Yeah, in the late game.
obviously, if you put it on a creature and then you just have that hexproof spell up for like the whole game,
Yeah,
then it's just like, okay, deal with this. Also, sometimes you'll be like, well, I was about to just die, and I guess now I'm going to equip this to a creature, and it buys me like a turn or two uh, where they can't win unless they get removal for the specific creature. Um, yeah, creature lands. Yeah, I think just putting it on that, like, as that fail case, no, not fail case scenario, but like that scenario where it just keeps you in a game where you would have otherwise just been dead. That's really nice. So I think this is really good. I think it's A minus.
yeah. Um,
There are going to be some games where it's just going to win you the game where it like really otherwise like no other card
yeah,
really would have
yeah.
helped.
Sure, A minus. Just a 3 to
All right.
cast 3/2 flying with that upside is pretty sweet.
Yeah. All right. Next up we have Farewell. This is the rare
Whoa.
Wrath.
Sorry, I missed it. I
Did we
skipped over
miss?
it. There we go.
Oh.
Boom. Go for it.
All right. Farewell. So we've got 4 white for a sorcery at rare. Choose one or more. Exile all artifacts, all creatures, all enchantments, or all graveyards. So any combination of those you can choose. And I like that flexibility. It is
Yeah.
a 6-mana wrath. It is an exile wrath. I don't think this is good at, like, we just had by invitation only, which I think that was quite powerful because of the flexibility of it. And because it's a wrath, we're like, wow, this wrath is good when I have more creatures, even. This could be something where it's like, my deck doesn't have all the enchantment creatures, but I can get rid of enchantments, which gets rid of most of my opponent's creatures, and enchantments and artifacts or something. And so I think this has, you could almost build around this in an interesting way. I think it's going to be really good in plenty of scenarios. And it is just a reset. I think this is a little bit better than the average Wrath in the context of this set, unless this ends up being too slow for the set. But I think I like it enough to give it a B
Yeah.
because it is 6 mana, which
Sweepers are almost always insane and limited. That's not actually true. If we look at Vow, the sweepers didn't perform as well as we thought. Like, it's
I
definitely a
liked
bit,
by invitation and vow, but not the vanquish the
but even by
whatever
invitation,
in
kind of
Mana
under,
Hunt.
by invitation, kind of underperformed. Like if you looked at the data and like kind of how it felt. But yeah, it was flexible. So like if you remember, we were like crazy high on it, and it kind of ended up going quite a bit down. So it's a little bit context driven. So it's not always the case, but I like this at B too. Yeah, I do
This
think
has
that.
big upside. A lot of
Yeah,
these rares do have really big upside, and
yeah,
yeah, maybe I ended up staying pretty high on by invitation only, but in general, just like the 6 mana wraths. Um, Sometimes 6 mana is a little bit too late or too clunky for a number of board states or games, but still, this does a lot, and I think it's worth 6 mana.
yeah. And then this is an interesting thing to consider in like a vehicle deck, kind of like a blue-white vehicle deck. Maybe you could have some a little bit of control elements going on. You could set it up so you wipe the board and you're left with a bunch of vehicles, and then boom, you get a creature down, and you're still able to attack in that turn that you wrathed. So I do think
Yeah,
there's some synergy there in that vehicles deck, and that's something to look out for.
it's good with vehicles. I mean, one of the things about wraths in other sets where we've had vehicles is vehicles are nice wrath protection.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so it's nice if you can set that up on your side, but it's also nice that if your opponent is the one
Right. You can get
that
rid
has
of their.
vehicles,
Yeah.
then they don't have that wrath protection because you can destroy the artifacts,
Yeah.
exile the artifacts.
Exactly. All right. So we each have that at B. Next up here, Invoke Justice. One white, 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 white for a sorcery. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then distribute 4+1/+1 counters among any number of creatures and or vehicles target player controls. Cool. So you get to reanimate something and put 4 counters. That's like pretty good. The white, the white tax is real, but if we compare this to the 7 mana one we were talking about, I think this is going to be on average better and less of a build around.
Yeah, this requires less setup.
Yeah. Man, this is an interesting one. I think this might just be a B minus until I see how it plays out. Yeah, I'm comfortable putting it at a B minus. It might, I might be wrong, and it might be like, oh wow, like this card is really overperformed. Like you just get this big crazy like whatever turn to attack most of the time based on how the stats line up. But there's a little bit of hidden information without me getting to play it. But I do see the potential here, and I do think it just edges out C range and B minus for me.
So there are some a lot of the rares I think are kind of demanding on the mana.
I guess
We'll
we
see if
should say
people
this
end up
is a
doing
build
monocolored
around.
stuff. This doesn't feel like as much of a build
No,
around,
it doesn't,
just
right?
the mana,
Right.
compared to the brilliant restoration.
Yeah, sure. B
So I think
minus
this
for me.
is, yeah, I'll say B. It's another one of those things, kind of like, okay, it's trying to balance out the ranking of the upside, which is really powerful,
Yeah.
and the restrictive cost. So
The fact that it says
I guess it ends up
permanent
as a
card
B.
is pretty sweet. You could just be like, oh, I'm going to get back my crazy saga that I've already gotten value from, or the removal, or yeah, this is pretty swingy. I'll still say B minus just because of the cost of white here, but it, yeah, pretty cool
Yeah,
card.
I'm wondering if I'm missing something with like there's some in white and in black reanimation kind of
I think
things.
there
I'm
is,
just
yeah.
not seeing as many ways to like get
Discard or
things into your
sacrifice.
graveyard.
Yeah,
Um,
but I
there are
like
a
it.
few, but maybe we just have to keep an eye out for them more.
All right, so B minus and B.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Next up, we have Kyodai, Soul of Kamigawa, which is 3 and a white for a 3/3 legendary dragon spirit at a rare. It has flash and flying, and when it enters the battlefield, another target permanent gains indestructible for as long as you control Kyodai. And you can pay Wooburg to give it +5/+5 until end of turn.
It's not gonna
Interesting.
come up very often.
Um, so I think
I like
4 mana 3/3 flash flying. I would give that a
B
B.
minus
Yeah.
or a B. Yeah, B makes sense. Yeah. And then giving
Yeah, B
something
minus or B.
indestructible for a turn is a nice upside with that flash.
As long as you control it, it just gives it indestructible.
Right. Well, it's a nice thing
So
to flash in combat or whatever.
you could potentially flash this in and like eat 2 creatures by blocking a 2/2 with this and
Right. A lot of
another creature with your
flexibility.
indestructible creature.
A lot of
Yeah, and
flexibility.
then
This is a B plus, I think.
the Wooburg. The Wooburg is doesn't
Kind
matter
of
too
irrelevant.
much
Yeah. I don't
for
think it's
limited
worth building
grading.
around that part of it. Yeah, B plus for me.
I think, man, this is awesome, and this is easy to cast compared to all of the hard to cast things. Um,
I guess this helps you like when you're suiting up and modifying a bunch of stuff. You can just like boom, like it's going to be a huge swing. I think.
all right. I guess I'm just going a little bit higher on some of these. I'll say A minus. I think this is sweet, and you get a lot for your mana.
That's fair.
It's splashable. It's easy to cast.
All right, fine. A minus. Someone. Sometimes I'll budge and sometimes I won't. I guess I'll budge on this one. I like the card though.
All right.
A lot
All
of
right. You got the next
flexibility.
one.
Light Paws, Imperior's Voice, 1 white for a legendary creature, Fox Advisor. Whenever an aura enters the battlefield under your control, if you cast it, you may search your library for an aura card with mana value less than or equal to that aura and with a different name than each aura you control. Put that card onto the battlefield attached to Light Paws, Emperor's Voice, then shuffle. This is a complex set. There's a lot going on here. Okay, when an aura ETB is under your control, if you cast it, you may search your library for an aura card with the mana value less than or equal, so same or less, but it has to be different than any other aura you control. And then you shuffle your library afterwards, and you attach that aura to this card. That's my understanding.
Weird.
Whenever though is pretty nice. This is a build around card, right? Like how delicate is it though? I guess you want to find ways to protect this card to be able to enable that kind of value. I do see the upside here as a build around for sure, like quite a big upside.
Yeah, at first
2 for wanting every aura is kind of crazy. Sorry.
it takes some setup costs. It's kind of particular about what you can get. At first, I was thinking like, oh, you can get another aura, but like if it's one you don't want to attach to Light Paws,
It's a
like
build
if you
around. It's a build
play a
around.
4 mana aura, like the black removal spell, and you're like, oh, I can get the Intercessor's Arrest, that arrest slash pacifism, but like, oh, it has to be attached to Light Paws, so you don't necessarily want
This
that. So
This is a build around B plus. There is some decent, instant speed removal, but there's not a lot of bounce. I don't think that auras are going to be quite as punished as the average set. And so yeah, there's a little bit of setup cost, but if you build around this appropriately, and let's say you have 7 plus differently named auras that will just chain together, this card's going to be crazy good in your deck. Getting that 2 for 1 value to chain is really powerful. So I'll say build around B plus. It is a 2 mana 2/2. It's a little delicate, but it's an absolute build around.
I'm looking at like there's only one white aura that I'm seeing that you'd want to put on it. So you'd
Well,
have to maybe depend on the other colors, maybe
Sure.
the red auras,
There's a lot of auras though.
or
Yeah, white, red,
black.
maybe.
I don't know.
I like it.
Um,
I like that
I'm
there's
not too
these kind of
excited
build
about
arounds.
it, but it's a 2/2.
It's a build around for sure. Man, I love sets with
Yeah.
stuff like this to be able to experiment with.
I guess I'm gonna be a little bit lower on it. It's nice when it works,
Yeah.
but I don't know if you're gonna if is that gonna be a good deck. I'm gonna say it's a C plus. I think it's really weird.
C plus flat or C plus if you build around it?
C plus, build around B minus.
All right, put me at a build around B plus. I'm not going to give it a normal grade.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard to
Yeah.
give a normal grade.
All right.
All right. Next up, we have Lion Sash, which is 1 and a white for a 1/1 artifact creature equipment cat at rare. You can pay white, exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a permanent card, put a +1/+1 counter on Lion Sash. And equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each +1/+1 counter on Lion Sash, and has reconfigure 2. So you get a 2 mana 1/1. They can start to grow, and then reconfigure. It doesn't pump up. It's not going to pump up the creature you equip it to until you have +1/+1 counters on it. But this is pretty nice for 2 mana. It's kind of, you have to get some counters on it, but it can really get out of hand. So I like the upside on it.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cheap. So ratings wise, what do I give it? It's gonna be really good sometimes. I think I'll just give it I'll give it a B plus. I think it's a cheap card that you can just
Throw
go
around.
like pretty out of control with.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Like you can just the fact that it reconfigures for 2 is kind of crazy. You can be like, okay, at instant speed, exile this, exile that as many times you want, or whatever. Now it's +3/+3. Slap that over here, attack like, and it's just like a crazy valuable mana sink. So I'll say B plus too.
All right, so I guess we're on the same
Yeah, I think
same
that,
level.
I'm
with this.
seeing the high potential on that one. That's crazy.
I like the card. That looks like fun.
All right, next up, March of Otherworldly Light, X white. Oh wait, yeah, I know it's instant speed. The exile things from your yard is instant speed, but the reconfigure is sorcery speed. Otherworldly Light, X white, instant. As an additional cost to cast the spell, you may exile any number of white cards from your hand. This spell costs 2 colors less to cast for each card exiled this way. Exile target artifact, creature, or enchantment with mana value X or less. Okay, this is a nice clean removal spell. What's it? Exile with mana value X or less. So this gets rid of a lot of things. As the flexibility of getting rid of a white card. Does a land count as a white card? A white land?
No, those would be colorless.
Oh, right.
For
So I was like, maybe that would be cool. I like this card. Good removal for white.
yeah, I think these X spells that have the alternate cost of exiling, that's just kind of like nice in a pinch if you're gonna 2-for-1 yourself, but you're gonna survive or get a like blow out your opponent in some way. And so
It's like a B plus.
yeah, 5 mana to kill a 4-drop, any artifact, creature, or enchantment. So I think
It's a B or
if
B
you're just
plus.
looking at it as like, yeah, 4 mana to kill a 3-drop, 5 mana to kill a 4-drop, etc., it's a good removal. And it's instant, which is really nice. So you said B plus.
It's a little high, I feel like, but sure. I guess I like that it just exiles anything. The fact that it exiles anything seems nice.
Yeah, I'll say. I mean, I like the flexibility. I'll say B plus too. I think it's pretty sweet. Sometimes it is going to be expensive to get rid of that expensive bomb, but when you have this and they have their mythic dragon and you can kill it without their dying trigger, then that's really good too.
Yeah.
All right, next up we have the restoration of Iganjo, which is 2 and a white for a rare saga. Chapter 1, search your library for a basic plains card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle. Chapter 2, you may discard a card. When you do, return target permanent card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. All right. So, I mean, maybe you can get another saga with that. And then chapter 3, you exile it and return it transformed. And then you get the Architect of Restoration, which is a 3/4 enchantment creature fox monk with vigilance. And whenever it attacks or blocks, you create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. This you get a lot for 3 mana. So I like just getting the planes right away.
I like this card a lot.
You can even you get the planes into your hand, so you're like, okay, do I need the planes? Cool. Otherwise, I can discard my planes next turn to maybe get back a saga. So more stuff, getting things back from the graveyard. I guess I need to keep an eye out more for looting and self-mill.
This card is sweet.
So is this just a very good card, or is it bomb level? I don't know, but it's quite good.
Yeah, I know my grade. Do you know yours? It's like
3/4 vigilance. You just get
it's like better than a 2-for-1. Yeah, it's like you get this, you get a land out of your deck. You get a 3/4 that also gives you value. Sometimes you get even more value if you change that land into something from your graveyard. It could be like a 3-for-1 sometimes.
Yeah, I'm thinking B+ or A-.
Yeah, I think A-. Yeah. I'm gonna go high on this one because I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like it's gonna feel good to play this on turn 3. Like turn 3, get a land, your go, or turn 3, get a land, play, or turn 3, get a land, your go. My turn, discard the land, get something back, flips into a 3/4 vigilance. I can throw some auras on it or whatever, get some more value in. Maybe I'm too hot on it, but yeah, it's B+ A- territory.
I think that's pretty good. I think I'll kind of say A-. I was between those two, and
real
just
good.
like getting a planes, things like that. Like you're getting a 2-for-1 from it. We had different cards that maybe it doesn't feel like they affect the board that well from the get-go, but you have Ambitious Farmhand from Midnight Hunt that gets you the planes. And also, I don't know, looking at, what was it? Wedding Announcement? Wedding Announcement. The enchantment from Crimson Vow, where it's like, it doesn't have a big effect right away, but like over the course of a few turns, it's giving you like really good value.
Yeah.
And so I think this is good enough to be A- range.
Absolutely. All right. Next up here, we've got, moving down, the Wandering Emperor. 2 white for a legendary planeswalker. It has no name because it wanders, I guess. It's a flash legendary planeswalker with 3 loyalty. As long as the wandering emperor entered the battlefield this turn, you may activate her loyalty abilities at any time you could cast an instant. +1 is put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature against first strike until end of turn. -1 is create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with vigilance. Or sorry, -1. And -2 is exile target tapped creature, you gain 2 life. I love this card. I like the design of it. I like that it's a kind of a pick your poison combat trick creature removal spell at instant speed, and it's a planeswalker. This kind of does a lot. I think this is an A-, and I think maybe it's a little hot to say it's an A-, but the fact that it kind of just gives you what you need at instant speed, satisfaction guaranteed. I don't know. It rhymes. Yeah. On your opponent's turn, exile creature, you have an active planeswalker on your turn, make a 2/2, put a counter on something. I just like the play pattern of this card a lot. So yeah, I'll say A-.
Yeah, I think this is an A for me. think. Wait,
It's powerful for sure.
I think yeah, just having that you do one of the modes instant speed, and then you just untap and have an active planeswalker. That's so good.
Yeah,
So that's kind of like the fact that you play it first on their turn, most likely means that is the protection that it provides itself
sure.
uh,
Yeah,
from the get go, and then it also has -1/-1 or -1 to make a 2/2.
yeah.
Uh, and I think if you flash it in and get one of their attacking creatures with a -2, that's like huge.
Right, and you can kind of
So
just keep getting value. It's a non-ultimate planeswalker, but you keep just getting value throughout the game.
yeah, and then the pattern of like, okay, they don't necessarily attack or something, which means maybe you're on a somewhat stable board, which a planeswalker is going to be so good.
Continuing
And
to be able to put a counter and first strike on creatures is pretty big game too, as it's +1.
yeah,
So like on
yeah,
your turn,
so
even doing that is going to enable attacks. Yeah, A- for me, but I understand A too.
yeah, one of the biggest blowouts is going to be if you're able to +1 to block and kill their creature, then you just pumped up your own creature, killed theirs, and then you have a 4 loyalty planeswalker on your turn. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, this is
All
great.
right, so I give it an A.
I give it an A-, but yeah, I understand A for sure.
All right.
All right,
So
moving on
now
to blue.
that was white.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Inventive Iteration. I think this is our first blue card, um, which is 3 and a blue for a rare saga. And it has Chapter 1, return up to 1 target creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand. All right. And Chapter 2, return an artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. If you can't draw a card, that's pretty nice insurance for not having it. And then Chapter 3, you exile it, return it transformed as a 3/3 flyer, where whenever you cast a spell, your opponents can't cast spells with the same mana value as that spell until your next turn. So that's pretty good. That's some good value. Um, yeah. So yeah. So there's some bounce where there doesn't look like there's a ton of bounce at low rarity in this set. But here's a way to bounce something. Chapter 1, nice tempo. I like some of these sagas that if they're not getting you value right away or something on board, at least it's giving you some tempo. Um, so that, and then it gives you card advantage. So you're getting a 2-for-1 with this, and then tempo. And then I think that ability on the backside for whenever you cast a spell, your opponents can't cast spells with the same mana value as that spell until your next turn. Just means like you go, okay, now on my turn, I'm going to cast a 2-drop and a 3-drop. And then suddenly, they can't cast a 2-drop and a 3-drop until until your next turn. And you could really just mess up your opponent's plan that way. So I think this is really good. Is this an A-? I think it's quite good.
Yeah, I like this a lot.
Flying.
It's a
I think
it's
I'll
a 4 to
say
cast
A-.
3/3 flyer that bounces and draws a card, or yeah, I guess it draws a card either way. Well, just draws a card is the easiest way to say it. So a 4 to cast 3/3 flyer, bounce a card, draw a card. That's a lot of value. Yeah, A- as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of decisions, I think in games of Magic, come down to like card advantage versus tempo. And this is giving you
Both.
tempo, and then it's giving you card advantage. And so, what more can you ask for? It seems really good.
I guess it's replacing itself. I don't know if it's. I guess no, it is advantage at that point.
It's a 3. It ends up being a 3/3 flyer.
Yeah. It is advantage.
And then it draws you the artifact or the card. So
right.
that's why I'm saying card advantage.
Yup. Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Next up Invoke the Winds. I guess we're going to see one of these kind of cards in each color. 1 blue, 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 blue for a rare sorcery. Gain control of target artifact or creature. Untap it. Okay. I could get on board with this card. Yeah. I don't know if I even like do you say just build around when there's that prohibitive mana cost every time, or you're just going to play this in any deck you can just because of the
I don't
power
know.
level?
Yeah, I don't know if you
I
call it
guess you
build
don't call
around
it
or
build
just hard to
around.
cast, but so it would be an A if
If it
was
was
just
easier to
5
cast.
mana.
Yeah.
If it's just a 5 mana mind control that untaps.
It's a B plus, I think. But man. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't.
really powerful, and the untap it super relevant.
Oof.
And the fact that there's
2 for
not
1.
quite
Yeah.
that much bounce to punish you for stealing their creature.
Steal your best creature. I have it now is a kind of a crazy swing in limited. Yeah. I love that kind of effect. So yeah, B plus, but I'm tempted to say A minus. Nah, I just got to go B plus. B plus seems
Yeah,
fine.
if you for blue, if you have this in your deck, obviously if you start with it, I don't know how many people are going to be drafting monocolored decks,
Fair.
but I'm thinking with these cards,
You're
I think
incentivized. Yeah.
a good strategy will to be like, you don't have to go monocolored, but you go
Blue
basically like
splash
heavy
a color.
blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just don't have anything else of your second color that is like early game one drops or double pipped.
More than 1 pip. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think doing the kind of doing monocolor, I think you end up kind of sacrificing a bit too much in a lot of drafts. But if you do heavy one color, kind of splashing one color, you can end up with really good decks. And I think that's something that I'm going to be looking to do in this format. But
True.
I'll give this one a B plus. But if you pack one, pick one, then I think it's actually a really good pack one, pick one.
I agree.
Cool.
Absolutely agree with all that. Oh, you get the one with a little bit of text on it.
Yeah, another very heavy text card, which is Jin Gitaxias Progress Tyrant, which is 7 mana for a 5/5 legendary creature, Phyrexian Praetor, Mythic. And whenever you cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy, and that triggers once a turn. And whenever an opponent casts an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, counter that spell. This ability triggers once a turn.
That's cool.
So there are just a couple of things that answer this, like the black common removal enchantment thing. But other than that, for the most part, if you're going to be able to untap, like you play the 7 mana 5/5, you're going to be able to either get some really good value off of it or untap with it most of the time. So I think you're getting a lot you're getting enough to justify 7 mana. Like, is it as good as Hullbreaker Horror in Limited? Maybe not quite, but I think this is
up there.
Really good, and it's A minus B plus range for me.
Yeah, the fact that after you play this, the first spell your opponent casts the next turn is countered. So, like, if your opponent doesn't have removal for this the turn you play it. Oh, actually, sorry. If this resolves, artifact, instant, or sorcery. So if this resolves, and your opponent's gonna need 2 answers for it, that's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, this is an A minus for me.
Yeah. I'm between B plus and A minus.
Yeah.
Just because it's a 7 drop and there are
I could see this going
answers to it.
I could see this going up to A even, but I'll start at A minus.
I'll say A minus too. I think if the set ends up being super
the fact that it just
then maybe 7 drops are bad.
Yeah, that's the consideration. Any card to waste and an answer. Well, sure, but it needs to target it. Oh, any card to waste in it. Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point.
Yeah.
You're not gonna use a removal spell. Just any card. You'll be like, okay, play this bad artifact and then play my removal spell. But it's still a lot of value. Yeah, maybe A minus is a little optimistic, but I don't think it's really powerful. Next up, we get the blue dragon. So it's 4 blue for a 6/6 flying dragon with ward 3. When it dies, choose one. So we see one of these in each of the colors. Return any number of target non-land permanents with total mana value 6 or less to their owner's hands, or mill 6 cards, then return up to 2 instant and or sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. So the 6 to cast 6/6 flying with ward 3 on its own is pretty wild, but you compare this to the white one that's a 4 to cast 4/3 vigilance with flying.
5 mana, right? Yeah, the white one is 5 mana.
Oh, 5 mana. I kind of like the white one a little bit more, but this is still really powerful. What did we give the white one? A? Yeah, we give it an A. I think this is all. I think most of these are just going to be A's. I might be leaning slightly towards A minus, but 6/6 flying ward 3 when this resolves is pretty crazy. If they can't exile it, if it dies, you get some pretty big value. I'll just say A too. I don't know.
Yeah, ward 3 is really good.
Yeah, it's a huge threat.
There aren't going to be many cheap things that are going to deal with it anyway, and so ward 3 on top of probably needing somewhat expensive, at least 3 mana answer to it is really good.
Yeah, just an A.
Yeah, so I think I'll say A2.
Yeah.
If I had to choose between the two, maybe I want the 5 mana white dragon, but they're pretty close.
Yeah, for sure. All right, A.
Go Mercurio.
Welcome, Mercurio.
Yeah, I think all these dragons in that cycle are going to be super good.
Pretty crazy, limited. Yeah.
Next up, we have March of Swirling Mist, which is X and blue. Is another one of the cycles. For an instant at rare, as an additional cost to cast it, you may exile any number of blue cards from your hand, and this spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. And what it does is up to X target creatures phase out. I can see that as a way to kind of win out of nowhere. And so that's nice. I don't know. As a trick, this could be fine. It's kind of a funny card. I like that you can kind of top deck it and get rid of all their blockers and win out of nowhere. I like that you can mess up some combat or something. I think it's kind of a versatile card, even though it's a little weird.
That's fair. Yeah, getting rid of a bunch of blockers for an oops I win effect is kind of interesting. Yeah, we're using it even as a combat trick, as like phasing out the creatures. Like if you're super wide, phasing out the creatures that are blocked that would die, and they don't die anymore. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a weird card though. It's kind of narrow.
Yeah, I think it has upside, so I'll give it a B. Because I like the upside of winning out of nowhere, blowing out a combat or something, having it as protection. So
I'll say B
all that
minus.
stuff adds up to make it solid.
I'll say B minus.
All right.
All right, next up.
Yeah, it's not as flashy and as exciting as some of the other rares, but it's solid.
For sure. Next up, Mindlink Mech, 2 and a blue for a 4/3 flying vehicle. So many vehicles in the set. When Mindlink Mech becomes crewed for the first time each turn, until end of turn, Mindlink Mech becomes a copy of target non-legendary creature that crewed it this turn, except it's 4/3. It's a vehicle artifact in addition to its other types, and it has flying. So what would be the benefit of It, I guess if you had some attack triggers, that would be
Yeah, if the creature that crewed it has a lifelink, attack
right, right,
triggers,
right.
um,
I do like this
I think
card a
you can just
lot.
end up with like it's not always going to get something super relevant, but
This is a great vehicle, though. I mean, a
they're
3
good
to
things.
cast 4/3 flying with crew 1 is gonna be really annoying and get value. Uh, is it A minus territory or is it just B plus? That's the
Um,
question.
3 mana, 4/3 flying. Crew is only one.
That's pretty good.
That's good.
I feel
Yeah.
like you kind of almost ignore the rest of what it says and just try to grade it in terms of that alone.
I'm thinking like A minus. Maybe is it an A?
I'll
I
say,
guess I'm gonna say A minus.
yeah, A minus seems fine. It does seem
And
like probably one of the best vehicles so far.
if you curve into this and you have like a 4/3 flyer
You're just
attacking
attacking
with
every
like
turn. That's
getting some
hard to
upside,
remove because if they don't have instant interaction, you're just kind of able to get around that removal over and over again. Yeah, this is going to be good. Yeah,
yeah,
A
maybe
minus.
should I go up to an A? I'll go up to an A. Maybe it's aggressive, but I
It's one of the best vehicles we've seen, or probably the best we've seen. Yeah, I'll see A minus.
yeah. Yeah, if the creature has haste, if it has lifelink, you can do all sorts of good things to really improve it on top of it being a 4/3 flyer.
Cool.
All right. Next up, we have Reality Chip. Yeah. All right. So it's 1 and a blue for a legendary artifact creature equipment jellyfish at rare, and it's an 0/4. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. As long as the reality chip is attached to a creature, you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. It has reconfigure for 2 and a blue. So you can get a what's the not time what's that enchantment where you can cast stuff from the top of your library?
Future sight.
Future Sight. Yeah. So you can get Future Sight going if you equip this. So that's 5 mana. That's pretty good. Hmm.
Not the. I don't know. I'm not sure how much I've been liking those kind of effects in limited though.
I think I like it.
I guess it's just a wall that could attack if you put stuff on it. Yeah, there's enough upside here.
That's so good if your opponent can't deal with it.
Hmm.
Um,
You can
and
cast.
sometimes
Okay,
you
you can
know,
cast spells from the top of your library. That's the part I was missing. Yeah, that's good. I thought it was just
yeah.
lands.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
cast spells too.
yeah, relevant.
And so the good thing is you put 2 mana into it. You have an 0/4,
Yeah, it's
and then you
fine.
can kind of plan out your turn. Look at the top card. You're like, okay, I do want to cast that and start getting value, and then you can
Good point.
reconfigure and then start to like go off. I think just
Good
the
point.
upside of this is pretty crazy.
Good point. Yeah.
Um, can I say? I guess I'm gonna say
B plus.
A minus, just because it can be a bit like if you're dirtling too much, then I don't know. It's not gonna get you out of certain situations where like you don't have the luxury to dirtle, and it doesn't affect the board as well. But I don't know. It's still maybe I should say A, but I'm gonna say A minus.
I'm gonna say B plus. I think it's gonna be good, but it's one of those things I'll just have to test out. I'm not like super stoked about it, but the upside is there for sure.
I think there are definitely gonna be some games where people have this, and it's just like
They go off.
deal with this. Otherwise, I'm going off casting like getting like 3 cards a turn. So yeah, big upside for that.
Unless they hit 2 lands in a row, which can happen a good amount of the time.
Yeah, but you're still just if you hit a land, you still play that. You're just
Right.
getting value.
That's true. All right.
Yeah.
Next up,
So pretty good.
yeah, B plus for me, A minus for you. Next up, Tameshi Reality Architect 2 and a blue for a 2/3 legendary creature, Moonfolk Wizard. Whenever one or more non-creature permanents are triggered to hand, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Sorry, whenever one or more non-creature permanents are returned to hand, draw a card. Okay, interesting. White X, return a land you control to its owner's hand. Return target artifact or enchantment card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. So it kind of has the whole deal here.
Graveyard stuff.
Draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Okay, I like this card. So it kind of has the whole package here. So for X and a white, you could return, for 3 mana, you could return a 2 mana common saga to the battlefield and bounce a land and draw a card. It's a lot of value tacked into a card here.
Yeah. And the tempo loss of bouncing your own thing is kind of made up by the fact that you're getting that enchantment or artifact directly to the battlefield. Another dirtily super value thing.
I like it. B plus.
Yeah, how much work does this need? It does.
It seems a little dirtily. That's why I'm on B plus here.
Yeah, it's at least a B plus, and I guess I'll say, I don't know if I should say like this and Reality Chip are both B pluses because they just have like if they're not answered, you just get so much value dirtling. I guess I'll say B plus though too. I don't know why. I like the Reality Chip slightly more just because it's one color. And you might not be able to have like white for this, but they're pretty similar in terms of you can really end up going off with them.
Right, you can get your vehicles back from your yard too, stuff like that. Yeah, it's fun. Cool. Ooh, you get this one. This one looks fun.
Another planeswalker here, which is Tezzeret, Betrayer of Flesh, and it's 2 blue for a Tezzeret planeswalker at Mythic with 4 loyalty to start with. The first activated ability of an artifact you activate each turn costs 2 less to activate. It's got +1 to draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an artifact. And then it's got -2 to target artifact becomes an artifact creature. If it isn't a vehicle, it has base power and toughness 4/4. All right, interesting. And then -6. You get an emblem with whenever an artifact you control becomes tapped, draw a card. So I'm trying to think of the activated abilities on artifacts. That's like equipment. That's going to be really good. Good with the reconfigure equipment. Making those cost 2 less to activate is really good.
And this actually protects itself too. This is one of the better Tezzerets I've seen. But yeah.
If you make an artifact into a 4/4.
Right, if you minus.
Yeah, so it's not protecting itself without any help, which is a little bit worse. But it is only 4 mana, which is not too bad to do 4 mana. Plus you're up to 5 loyalty, and you draw 2 cards. Hopefully,
discard
you have some sort of board presence with it.
Yeah,
I think planeswalkers in the last few sets have been a little bit worse. Like there have been some bad planeswalkers. This one might be slightly worse than the other planeswalkers, but it's still good.
Yeah.
And so I still think it's a A- or B plus.
Yeah, I'll say A-. Just 4 mana, 4 loyalty planeswalker. You can get some upside with. I think edges it out for me.
Let's say, yeah, maybe I should say A-. I'll say A-. It's only 4 mana. I was originally looking at it as if it was like kind of like a 5 mana planeswalker or something.
Tezzerets usually are 5 mana, it seems like. Yeah.
Decent amount of loyalty to start with, and good value.
All right, last rare for blue here. We've got Thousand Faced Shadow, 1 blue for a creature human ninja. It's a 1/1 flyer. Has ninjutsu 2 blue blue. Whenever Thousand Faced Shadow enters the battlefield from your hand, if it's attacking, create a token that's a copy of another target attacking creature. The token enters the battlefield tapped and attacking. It's kind of redundant, but I get it because it's 1,000 faces. So it's a 1/1 flyer. It will enable other ninjutsu. If you ninjutsu this though, you get to copy another like threat basically that your opponent wasn't able to block, and that's also so it's doubling your damage in that way. This is going to be a crazy surprise ninja card. It's good in whatever flexible, right? Okay, well. The ninja deck, like, let's say you had this. I don't know how often you'll play it turn 1, but you can to enable some crazy turn 2 and some curve outs. And then later in the game, it's super powerful. So I'm at A- with this one. I was almost considering A.
So yeah, so this does have more setup cost, but it does have big upside. It is just a 1 mana 1/1 flyer, which is good for the ninja deck.
I do think you'll have 2 attackers. I think you'll have the one that your opponent's not going to block, and then whatever, maybe the second one that they could block, but they really, I don't know, who knows. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of, I do think the setup cost is real, but it's still a good card, and it's going to be pretty insane when you do ninjutsu it and then get a free copy of a token. I mean, I guess it's costing you mana. You're just getting damage in with a 1/1 flyer. So, like, the copy has to be worth it.
And then, but what's nice about this card is because it's a flyer itself, like, if your opponent doesn't have answers to flyer, you could just ninjutsu this card back to your hand for another ninja, and then kind of loop it for value. Obviously, there's that setup cost, but I don't know. I feel like ceiling A-. So B plus A-.
I think you're gonna. It's nice that it enables and has the payoff kind of.
Right. Obviously, it's a synergy card. Yeah.
So it is nice that it enables other ninjutsu and it is a payoff for.
Yeah, can ninja later. Exactly. You kind of like loop it. I'll say A-. I'll be optimistic. It might be a little high.
Yeah, huh. I'll say B plus, but it's because of the setup cost. But maybe I'm being harder on this and less hard on the dirtily cards. Yeah, it does seem really good though.
Fair.
All right, so that's blue. Ready to move on to black.
Yes.
We have a Biting Palm Ninja, which is 2 and a black for a 3/3. Waiting. I think there are more like Biting Palm, Thousand Face. They're more like hyphens and things in this set than the average set.
Mm-hmm.
A lot to type in. All right.
1,000 palm biting ninja man.
1,000 Biting Palm Ninja.
1,000 men.
We have a 2 and a black for a 3/3 rare human ninja, and it's got ninjutsu 2 and a black. And Biting Palm Ninja enters the battlefield with a menace counter on it. All right, nice modified thing. And so 3 mana 3/3 menace. And when it deals combat damage to a player, you may remove a menace counter from it. When you do, that player reveals their hand, and you choose a non-land card from it. Exile that. So that's some nice value there. Biting Palm Ninja cosplay, yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. FDK. Okay.
All right. This is just quite good. Is it insane? Maybe this is just like there's nothing.
3 to cast 3/3 menace, yeah, or ninjutsu.
Yeah. The fact that it has menace is so good. You could even do the ninjutsu trick, right? I think so. Attack with it with the menace counter on it. You hit, you deal damage and remove the menace counter on it. Then you ninjutsu some other cheap thing in the battlefield, get this back, and then you can ninjutsu, then you can like return it or something. And maybe that's like too many hoops to jump through in that scenario, but a lot of cool stuff you can do with it. This seems like A minus.
Yeah.
I really like it.
3 mana, 3/3 menace with a lot of synergy upside. Cool.
Yeah, you can ninjutsu before damage. You can ninjutsu after first strike damage. You can ninjutsu after damage, but still in combat.
It's a little complex, yeah.
So yeah, doing it on arena can be. You have to get it just right, I think. I feel like people are going to mess it up on arena a decent amount, but probably once people.
But on Moda, it's super easy, Kappa.
It actually is easier on Moda.
Weird. So maybe because there's like 100 phases to click through that it's harder to mess it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Blade of the Ani, 1 and a black for a mythic artifact creature equipment demon. It's a 3/1 menace. Equipped creature has base power and toughness 5/5, has menace, and is a black demon in addition to its other colors and types, and has reconfigure 2 black. This card is crazy good. What the frick, man? I love this card.
3/1 menace. Wow. Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I'm gonna say A. I don't really see the downside here. I guess it's an X1 when you play it at face value, but I don't know. You could play it later in the game and like surprise attack with something for 6 mana and maybe just win. So there's that value of it. Or you're playing against someone you just curve out with this and this just hits a couple times. Like that's going to give you value early and late. I'm at A on this card, and it might be a little hot, but I think this card's ridiculous.
Yeah, so early game curving out with a 3/1 menace, that's really good. Also, just cheap menace things going to be good with ninjutsu. And then late game, if you already have large creatures, then I think you're probably doing well. But getting a 5/5 menace,
there's not that many creatures larger than 5/5 in this format. Like there's a few that we've seen yet. Maybe once we finish the rares and mythic rares, I'll stand corrected. But at common and uncommon, there's not a lot outside of some like huge artifact creatures and here and there. So this is going to improve a large percentage of the creatures in this format.
Yeah, and it also, if you equip it on a creature though, say you equip it on the 1/1 flyer, it's still going to retain flying and stuff. So it looks like, but it
great on flyers,
a 5/5 menace flying. That'd be pretty sweet. Yeah, reconfigure cost of 4. That's real.
But the upside is so huge. That being
upside on top of a 3/1 menace.
I'm at A on this, just straight up.
Me too. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's really good.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. So what do we have next? We have Hidetsugu. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So Hidetsugu Devouring Chaos, which is 3 and a black for a 4/4 legendary ogre demon at rare. It has black, sacrifice a creature, scry 2, and then 2 and a red, tap, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. When you exile a non-land card this way, it deals damage equal to the exiled card's mana value to any target.
Well,
pretty cool, because
that's crazy.
I mean, it takes some work. You can do this instant speed. That's nice. Yeah,
I like this
so
card.
If you untap with this, that's pretty sweet. I don't know, like, yeah, you don't get instant value from it, but it's one of those cards where in limited, I think if you untap with it, you're just uh, going to be so far ahead.
So the sacrifice a creature scry to, I guess, could sort of help you set up and just gives you a free sacrifice outlet. You're hitting a non-land off this, and knowing what it will be and how much damage it will be, so it can be kind of like a surprise. And it's to any target. It can go face. It can hit a creature. Yeah, this is a cool card.
Yeah. So you have to exile it, and then it deals damage. You may play the card, but you don't have to if you're like doing this at instant speed.
Sure, yeah.
I'm just kind of like thinking about it, looking at it.
Right, and all this on top of a 4/4 for 4 in black. Good point. With one single black pip.
Yeah, so this is gonna like definitely take over some games. And there's black red does have some sacrifice themes, and so
I think
it fits perfectly into that.
I think I might just be on A on this one as well. I'm not.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I think if you have something that's just a must answer threat, like, okay, opponent, you have one turn, take care, like get rid of this, or you're just gonna lose so fast. So even though dies to removal, it's still good.
Yeah, lead the first, so it kind of has the whole deal here. The first ability helps you set up for the second ability. So sacrificing a creature, scry 2, and then you'll be like, okay, I've got a 5-mana spell on top. My opponent's at 5, untap, win, or they're 1 threat, untap, kill it, attack. It gives you a lot of flexibility in that way, and you get to sacrifice a creature the turn you play it if you have the mana for it, to set it up for the next turn when you're able to use the tap ability. So it kind of gives you that there.
Yeah, so pretty cool if you scry 2 and you're like, I have a 4-drop on top. Okay, now I can do this and deal 4 damage.
Yeah, I'm at A for this one.
Just at any target, that's so good. Yeah, I'll say A2.
Yeah, I like the card. All right, next up. So there's one of this in each color. I like the design. Invoke, for each color. Yeah, 1 black, sorcery. Target opponent sacrifices a creature. If they can't, they lose 2 life and you draw a card. Then repeat this process for an enchantment and a planeswalker. This one I'm not as excited about as the other ones in the other colors. This seems a little bit strange and limited. So they sacrifice a creature. Most often they're going to have a creature to sacrifice. They'll sacrifice their worst creature. Then they get rid of an enchantment. If they have one, they probably, like, maybe if you're lucky, you get 2 creatures. And then the planeswalker is just like not going to be relevant most of the time. I'm not big on this card. I don't think this is worth it, in my opinion. I think this is the worst one by far in this color cycle.
Yeah, so I think the most common thing that's going to happen with this is they sacrifice a creature and lose 4 life, I guess. Sometimes, I mean...
It's not a 3-for-1 in that I don't think you're ever going to hit a planeswalker very often.
Yeah, so you're not going to hit a planeswalker, so it means they're probably going to lose 2 life.
Oh, right. Sorry, that's a good point. That's a good point. I didn't realize that. My bad. Yes, you draw the card. Yep, good point. Edict, draw 2. I'm still not big on this.
Yeah, so Edict, draw 2, or they sacrifice a creature and an enchantment, and you draw 1.
I feel like most often 2. This is going to be draw a card, and they sacrifice maybe 2 creatures or a creature and an enchantment. I don't think it's worth it.
The first time when I looked at it, I wasn't looking at the draw a card part, but the draw a card part makes it actually not unplayable.
Right.
So I think if I'm mono black, I'm definitely playing this. And so how much out of my way is it worth it, even though it's awkward?
Not worth it, in my opinion.
So but you'd play it in mono black?
Sure. Yeah, I would.
I think, So I definitely play it in mono black, and I'd be happy about it in mono black.
5 mana for 6 damage and 3 cards. Well, not exactly. That's if they can't sacrifice something. So you're going to hit the planeswalker aspect of this. So most likely it's going to be they sacrifice a creature and an enchantment and lose 2 and you draw a card. But you're playing this in a non-black. in a non-mono black deck late in the game, where if you're not winning, this isn't really necessarily going to help you win that much, in my opinion. So I'm not super high on this. I think this is like C minus, honestly, for me.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I don't like edict effects that much, but I will say it's like a B minus if you can cast it.
If they have multiple creatures, which they most likely will, they get to choose which creature they sacrifice. I think that's what FTK meant. But yeah, I'm at C minus.
Yeah, like that's why I don't think usually the majority of the time you're not getting good creatures and enchantments from them. But it's
value.
If
It's
you can
value.
cast this, I'm definitely happy about it. Like
this is one that's going to go around the table is kind of my point. So that's why it kind of feels like filler, but you'll know when it's like, oh yeah, this is actually just a pretty good card in my deck. I don't know. That's
I think
how
it's
I
going
feel
to go
about
around the table because it's hard to cast. Like a lot of these invoke cards might.
Sure,
I'm
but
really curious how
some
it's
of
going to
the
play out in the format.
some of the other ones are worth like bending around your game plan to play though. Like the blue one is like way better than this, obviously.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a B minus if you can cast it.
Huh.
I'm not super excited about it though.
That seemed okay. I'm so far away from that, I guess.
It's weird.
I'll give it a C. I'll move up to a C. Yeah, I don't see this as a pull into black. B minus would mean that this is a pull into black. Would this be a pull into black? I guess pack one, pick one it would be.
Well, I mean, talking about a pull into black, I mean, just on power level, that's why that's kind of like, whether you call it build around B minus, build around being like, you have to build a heavy black deck.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm talking about.
Fair. Jamie Topples is rating with a party of 43. Thank you so much, Jamie.
All right, thanks for the raid.
Let me give you a shout out. We're doing rares and mythic rares of Kamigawa here. We did the commons and uncommons yesterday. I'm here with Infinite Breakfast, co-host of the podcast that we do together called Limited Edition. And we've done gold, white, blue, and now we're going through black. Welcome in, everybody. Stay a while, hang out with me. Hey, me and Jordan speed ran our set review 3 hours and 44 minutes. What?
Oh, that's pretty good. We took
Holy
like
crap! It took us 6 hours
yesterday.
for commons. I'm jealous. If gameplay ends up being build Exodia with reconfigure, it still doesn't hit that well since the equipment detaches. Yeah, actually, good point, FTK. Yeah, I'm at C for Invoke, and you said B minus for this Invoke.
Yeah, like build around, make it a heavy black deck, B minus.
Sure.
It's
I guess I would say like build around C plus or something, but yeah, anyway, around there.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, it's got enough upside that it can be worth it in a heavy black deck, but all these invoke cards are really awkward.
Your go?
My go. Okay.
Your go.
So next up we have Junji the Midnight Sky, which is 3 black for a 5/5 legendary creature dragon spirit at Mythic, and it's got flying and menace. So here's the black version of this cycle of dragons, and so when it dies, choose one. Each opponent discards 2 cards and loses 2 life, or put target non-dragon creature card from your graveyard.
These cards are so
under
pushed.
Control. You lose 2 life.
These cards are so pushed. Another A.
It's interesting that it has double evasion with flying menace.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. But 5 mana 5/5 flyer with all that upside. I guess we could compare it to the other ones, but in some ways it doesn't matter.
We're splitting hairs. Yeah, still just a bomb. A.
Yeah, I'll say A as well.
Easy A.
Cool.
All right, next up here. March of the Wretched Sorrow, X black for an instant. As an additional cost to cast the spell, you may exile any number of black cards from your hand. The spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. March of Wretched Sorrow deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain X life. Ooh, nice. Like a little drain removal spell for X at instant speed. I like this card a lot. I wish it said any target. That'd be pretty spicy. But even just to a creature or planeswalker is nice. What did we say for the white one that did this? Because I feel like it's pretty
Yeah, I was
similar.
thinking like this might be a little better than the
Half
white
grade
one.
better, yeah.
This one gives you life, the white one exiled.
Yeah.
But they're both going to cost maybe similar amounts of mana. But you can overpay for this and get extra
Right.
life.
Good point.
So yeah, let's see what do we give the white one?
I think this is. Did we give the white one B plus? Do you really think this is an A minus?
I don't know. Maybe this. I think we might have given that white one
B
a B
plus.
plus.
Yeah.
So maybe this is B plus too, but
Yeah.
slightly
High B
better.
plus. Yeah. Sure. B plus. Solid card.
Yeah, we gave the white one a B plus. So B plus that I like a little bit more, but really good.
For sure.
Okay. And next up, let's see, what do we have? We have Nashi. Oh, you just read that one. Okay, so we have Nashi Moon Sage's Scion, which is 1 black black for a 3/2 legendary creature rat ninja. And it has ninjutsu, 3 and a black. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of each player's library. Until end of turn, you may play one of those cards. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. So, 3 mana, 3/2. Okay, that's a fine playable card. And then ninjutsu, 3 and a black to kind of sneak this in and deal combat damage. You probably are going to have to ninjutsu this to get it to deal the damage, I think, because otherwise a 3/2 with no evasion or anything is not going to be too easy to get in. People are really going to want to block that, and it's going to trade with a lot of creatures.
Yeah.
It's
Man.
quite good if you can just get a hit in, and so I think just plan if your game plan becomes like you plan on ninjutsuing this in, and you're going to build a ninja deck where you can design it so you can get a hit in with this, then it's really good. You just get a basically free spell off of it.
Right. You pay 0 life for their land that you might hit a good portion of the time, like a third of the time. And then every so often you'll just be like, okay, play the creature, right, or whatever.
Yeah, I think like if you can get a
cool
real
one.
spell off of it for no mana, that's really good.
I'm
even
not
though it
like
costs life.
huge on the Siphon Insight type stuff though, but this is pretty good. Interesting to note, it says each player's library, so this is going to be a nod to Commander too. Not that that's relevant here. I'll say B plus. This one.
Well, each player says you as well, right? Not each opponent.
Oh, each player, so it counts yourself.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
that
you
helps.
and your opponent.
Okay, that helps a
So
lot.
you get to choose between those two and play one of them.
That does help a lot.
I think I was originally looking at this as like, okay,
I misunderstood.
the 3/2 that you have to get to hit the opponent, but I think if they gave this menace or made it better in some way, better stats, then it would probably be like 2 busted, because if you get multiple hits in with it, you're just gonna win. So I think this is actually quite good, even though it has some setup cost. Like some of these ninjutsu things do have a bit of setup cost, but huge upside.
Yeah, hitting both libraries is huge. Yeah, that's true.
So
I don't know.
I think I'm gonna give it an A minus.
B minus?
A minus.
Oh, A minus. Yeah, B plus for me.
Yeah, I think it's really good, really huge upside. Just has some setup cost to it.
Yeah, I guess that. Wait. Let me change my grade, because the fact that you can use your life to like, because it's.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, okay, it's mana intensive, but let's say you're tapped out, you get this in, you get a card from each library, and then you can just use your life total to like play whatever the best card is after that hit is like pretty sweet. All right, I'll say A minus. Yeah, I can see the big upside there.
Yeah, even getting lands, yeah, it's value.
Yeah.
That's nice. And yeah, sometimes you might really want the land, and if you didn't want the land that badly, at least it's getting you closer through your deck to find something more relevant.
For sure. Next up, Soul Transfer, 1 black black for a sorcery. Choose one if you control an artifact and an enchantment. As you cast the spell, you may choose both. Exile target creature or planeswalker. Return target creature or planeswalker from your graveyard to your hand. If you control an artifact and an enchantment, as you cast this, you can choose both. That's cool. So 3 mana, most of the time you're just going to want to use this as a removal spell. And then sometimes you're going to have that upside. So 3 mana, exile something is really good. It is sorcery speed.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not a ton of removal in this set. I think this is a pretty high pick. Does it mean A
exile
minus?
removal is super good.
Does that push it to A territory? It's at least a B plus.
Yeah, so I guess white and black seems to be the color pair that cares the most about kind of the artifact and enchantment, but most of the color pairs with black, you'll be able to have that possibility. So if it was exile creature or planeswalker for 3 mana sorcery speed, I
B
guess
plus.
I think that's a B. I was thinking B, but yeah,
Okay.
it's good.
I think it's B plus altogether, I guess. Yeah.
So add that upside to it, and is this going to feel backbreaking if you get both? That's going to be quite good. Do I give this a B plus or A minus? I guess I'll give it a. I'm going to give it an A minus. That's really good upside.
I'll say B plus.
All right. Like this is.
Oh my
You're
god.
not going to pass that in a draft if you're playing black.
Return of Toad art.
Not that you would with a B plus, I guess. All right. This is my go. Okay. Now we have Tatsunari Toad Rider, which is 2 and a black for a 3/3 legendary creature, human ninja at rare. And whenever you cast an enchantment spell, if you don't control a creature named wait, now I have small text on this. If you don't control a creature named Kaimi, create
So much
Kaimi,
words.
a legendary 3/3 black and green frog creature token with whenever you cast an enchantment spell, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life. Okay. And then you can pay 1 and then a hybrid Simic, so green or blue. Tatsunari, Toad Rider, and target frog you control can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with flying or reach.
Wow.
So, 3 mana, 3/3.
Right, to double check what
and
it's
you
going
need
on.
to like cast with the upside of casting an enchantment gives you another 3/3. And then casting enchantments after that drains 1. And then you can give them like flying on attacks basically.
If you don't control a creature named Kemi,
so you can't get them flying for
legendary
blocks.
3/3 black and green frog.
But it's basically flying on attacks.
It loses a life and you gain a life.
That's just a lot. If you get
that's crazy,
2
yeah.
3/3s for your 3 mana card.
Wow.
And then you start draining after that. That's really good. It doesn't take a lot of work because enchantments are plentiful enough. I would give this A minus.
This is crazy. Yeah, this is snowbally. This is gonna be crazy good. I'm gonna say A minus too. I had to take my time reading it 3 or 4 times to make sure I understood it. And
I was like reading, it's like if you don't control a creature named
just keeps
Kaimi,
spitting
like,
out.
Who's Kaimi?
It keeps spitting out tokens, right? And then those tokens accumulate into draining multiple times.
It spits out a token if you don't have the 3/3 token.
Oh, okay.
Once you have the 3/3 token, after that it just drains.
Okay, but still though, it's like a 2-for-1. This and target frog you control. This is just a crazy threat, right? Yeah.
Yeah, trading off the 3/3 token means it sets you up to make another token.
Yeah, this is a crazy threat. Yeah, A minus.
Yeah, this is A minus. It could end up being an A, but that's pretty sweet.
All right, next up. That's it for black. Do you?
Oh,
Oh,
there's
sorry. There's one more.
tribute to
There's one more.
Hirobi.
Sorry. But do you want? We'll take a quick bathroom break after this one, and we'll finish it off. Tribute to Hirobi, one in a black for a rare saga. Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Each opponent creates a 1/1 black rat token, creature token. Then on Chapter 3, you exile and transform it into Echo of Death's Wall. It's a 3/3 flying haste. When Echo of Death's Wall enters the battlefield, gain control of all rat tokens. Whenever Echo of Death's Wall attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw a card. I think I love this card.
It's pretty cool, even though it has that awkward
Downside.
start.
I still like this card. Oh, sorry, whale, not wall. Sorry, chat. Please forgive me. Echo of Death's Whale. 3/3 flying haste. You get those rat tokens. It kind of reminds me of Dominaria. There was that like you get the O1 fodder, and then you get this like 6/6 flying demon, and then you like had to sacrifice a creature or whatever. But it didn't even when you sacrifice it give you that draw card value. And this is you may sacrifice a creature. So yeah,
So
I like this.
giving them 2 rats temporarily.
Sucks.
I guess it's just a matter of how bad
They're
is
just
that
gonna
downside for them starting off with those.
Well, what's interesting is like they're gonna be like, oh, I like don't want to give these back to you, so maybe they'll like attack with them. But like, how much damage can they get in with them before you just get them back anyway?
Yeah, so it's the downside is they can use them to now crew their vehicles. They can use them, bounce them to their hand to ninjutsu with them. Um, there is a lot I think they can do with the 1/1s, which, like, I know, like, okay, I don't mind taking 2-3 damage or whatever from the rats over the course of a couple of turns. Because then you're getting quite a good card and you're getting the rats back.
You get
But there
such
are
big
things they
upside
can
on the
do with
backside.
those.
It's crazy. Even if the backside is just a 3/3 flyer, like that's really good.
Yeah.
For 2 mana. I like this card. I just can't decide between a B plus and an A minus. I feel like I'm gonna be conservative and say B plus, and we'll see how good it is.
I guess I'm gonna say a B. It's weird because it has such high upside, but it has real downside if your opponent can just like use those 1/1s. Just giving them resources.
I don't know. I like it a lot though. But yeah,
If
I
they
see
can
I see the
sacrifice
downside.
ninjutsu, crew, or use them with the quote unquote blade brand common and do different things to like kill your creatures, whatever. I don't know. There are ways to use them as resources. So I'm gonna say B, but it definitely has good upside to it.
All right, B plus for me. All right, chat. So when we come back, we will be going through red rares. Thanks everybody for hanging out. If you enjoy the content, consider dropping us a follow and check out our podcast if you want to see what we prepare you for the pre-release coming out on Arena on Thursday. So that will be released on Monday. That's the podcast. That's what we do together. But yeah, I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break and we'll be right back. Thanks for hanging out.
Cool.
Here it is.
The interesting cycles of the dragons, the X spells, and the really hard to cast quad color spells are hard to evaluate some of them. But this one's good. So we have Atsushi, the Blazing Sky, which is 2 red for a 4/4 legendary creature dragon spirit at Mythic. It's got Flample. And when it dies, exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards, or you can choose to create 3 treasure tokens. I mean, again, it's like, do we need to compare all the dragons? Which one's best? They're all bombs.
They just start at A and
adjust.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll just say A for this as well. I don't know if any of them are A pluses.
Yeah.
Um,
The
but
white
because
one's a little scary, but yeah.
yeah, but it's like so good. They're all bombs, and this one's great. I'll give it an A.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Explosive Singularities next up. 8 red red for sorcery. Okay. As an additional cost to cast the spell, you may tap any number of untapped creatures you control. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature tapped this way. Explosive Singularity deals 10 damage to any target. Interesting. So let's say on average, you'll have 3 creatures. I guess this is a 7 mana deal 10 to face, I guess, to win. This seems a little dirtily, but also a little hard to evaluate. Maybe with 4 creatures, this is 6 mana deal 10. There's not a lot of counter spells in this set. There's 1 cancel, and there's 1 like it if the opponent plays 3, but I don't think it's going to be. Doesn't seem like it'll be played very much, so you don't get really punished for doing something like this. This is a weird one to evaluate for me.
I think the one where your opponent has to pay 3 on the channel, I do think that's perfectly playable. But yeah, in terms of counter spells, get something that you may or may not have to worry about. It's weird because there's a good way to finish the game.
Yes,
Obviously, 10
that's the
damage to the
point.
face
Yeah.
is great. If you have to use this to kill a creature, it's pretty awkward because the 10 damage is going to be overkill most of the time,
Yeah.
and you're going to have to tap creatures.
Seems clunky.
Still, as a way to just like do 10 damage to the opponent, that's pretty big.
In red white, like the attack with 1, make a bunch of tokens, whatever type thing. Maybe red white makes more creatures than the average deck, and so this helps the downside of this. This is a hard one to
Even though red white
evaluate.
might want to attack with 1 creature.
Remember in M21 there was like volcanic something or other, and like no one thought it would be good, and it ended up being one of the best cards in the set. It kind of reminds me like maybe this could be that type of situation, but that could be split between multiple targets.
I think this is good.
C range probably, but it has potential to have a really high ceiling, and I won't know until I play it.
Yeah, I'm thinking
It's C
just
plus.
the fact that you can kind of win out of nowhere with it is nice. Let's say you're able to reasonably get up to 3 or 4 creatures, then yeah, this costs 6 or 7 mana
It's a little win
your-
more, yeah.
as your way to win. I'll say B minus.
I'll say C plus.
So B minus. All right, but it's nice to have those cards where you can kind of win out of nowhere. Yeah.
Here we
All
go.
right. And Fable of the Mirror Breaker. This is pretty cool, kind of reference to Kiki Jiki. So 2 in a red for a rare saga. Chapter 1, create a 2/2 red goblin shaman creature token with whenever this creature attacks, create a treasure token. So that's pretty cool. Right away, you get 3 mana for a 2/2 that creates treasure when it attacks. Cool. Then chapter 2, you may discard up to 2 cards. If you do, draw that many cards. All right. So rummage up to 2. And then chapter 3, exile it and flip it. Transformed. And then you get Reflection of Kiki Jiki, which is a 2/2 enchantment creature, goblin shaman. 1 and tap, create a token that's a copy of another target non-legendary creature you control, except it has haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. So you can do the Kiki Jiki ability, but it costs you 1 and tap. And I mean, that's just a lot for 3 mana. So
Yeah.
I think this is pretty sweet. I think being able, even if you don't have crazy combos, being able to just like tap, create a token copy of something with an ETB effect, or just to get a free attack in that they're not going to want to block and trade. That's really good. I think A minus.
Yeah.
I'll give it an A minus, but maybe I should give it an A. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll say A minus too. Yeah, we could see with the ETB triggers being kind of ridiculous.
You get just a lot for 3 mana.
Okay, Goro Goro, Disciple of Ryusai, 1 and a red for a 2/2 legendary creature, Goblin Samurai rare. It has red and tap. Creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. It has 3 red tap. Create a 5/5 red dragon spirit creature token with flying. Activate only if you control an attacking modified creature. So you can only create this flyer when a modified creature is attacking. Interesting. This is cool. I mean, good early, good late. A nice 2-drop that you can just like sink mana into to just keep curving out and giving your creatures haste. And then eventually, if it's unanswered, making a flyer, a 5/5 flyer. I like this card. I think it's a very strong 2-drop. Nice that it doesn't need to attack. Yeah, right. Modified to make the Dargon. Yeah, the Durgent.
Yeah, just even a 2 mana 2/2 that you can pay.
Yeah, give things
to give
haste.
Your creatures
it's pretty
haste.
nice. Yeah.
So it's just going to be like threatening to like whatever you curve out after this. It's going to threaten to have haste. And
this is a solid
from
B+.
What we've looked at, from what we've looked at, modified creatures are somewhat plentiful, and red-green can definitely do that. And even if you're not in red-green, I think this is really good. And so I guess I'm not going to say A minus, even though it's going to feel like an A sometimes, but I think I'm going to say B plus.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
But it's going to be, if you can trigger it, which takes some work, but not a crazy amount of work, then just paying 5 to get a 5/5 is pretty awesome.
For sure.
All right. Goro. Okay. Next up, we have the red Invoke. And yeah, so this one is an instant. The other ones are sorceries, I guess. And this is Invoke Calamity, which is 1 red for an instant rare. You may cast up to 2 instants and or sorcery spells with total mana value 6 or less from your graveyard and or hand without paying their mana costs. If those spells would be put into your graveyard, exile them instead, and you exile Invoke Calamity. So you're paying 5 mana to do 6 mana worth of instants and sorceries, but so you're not necessarily getting a big mana advantage from doing this for the most part, and it costs like quadruple red, which is tough. So it's got some setup cost there. You're not getting mana advantage. You can get card advantage, but like ideally you're getting 2 3-drops or a 4-drop and a 2-drop spell.
Maybe you play a removal spell and like a value spell or something, best case scenario. It seems win more to me. I don't like this one.
This is too much.
I think
too
you would
low
be
of a floor.
I think you would be better just not playing this card. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, I think it's a D plus.
Yeah, me too.
It's not unplayable. You can build around it and make it actually good, but it has a pretty low floor and it requires some setup.
Yeah, I don't like this one.
So most red decks won't want it. All right.
This is me.
Go.
Sorry. Yeah. Lizard Blades, 1 and a red for a 1/1 double strike artifact creature equipment lizard. Equipped creature has double strike, reconfigure 2. Nice. So nice for modification decks, reconfigure decks. I don't know.
Yeah, throwing around double strike.
Yeah, I don't know if I go to A minus. I feel like it's like a synergy A minus. But you don't even need that much synergy, and otherwise it's a B plus. You'll play as many copies as you can get.
Have we had double strike equipment recently? I'm trying to remember. We had double strike auras in Vow, right? With that double strike,
Yeah.
uh, that one uncommon creature.
I'll say B plus. B plus. This card's great. We'll see how great from there. But
Yeah, I was kind of between B plus, A minus. It's a 2-drop, 1/1 double strike with all
Reconfigure
this
2
upside.
is real. Like only 2 mana to throw this around.
Yeah, because adding double strike is great. Like, because the reconfigure on the lifelink black uncommon that costs like 4, and on the red uncommon that gives +3/+2 and trample that
In
has
a
a big
red
cost,
black
but this
deck,
is cheap.
put this on a menace creature when your opponent has 1 blocker and you're basically just doubling your damage every turn. I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna say B plus.
B,
It's
B,
quite good.
B plus 2, yeah.
I'm wondering. I feel like we didn't have as many splashable things in the last set or two. Like we had the Halana and Elena, like couple bombs, but a lot of the bombs in recent sets haven't been splashable, and some of the removal hasn't been splashable. In this set, we have some things that might be a little bit more splashable. So I'm curious to see if there'll be more splashing in this set.
Right. You can attack with it, then suit a blocker, or send a suited creature, unsuit and block with it. Yeah, there's a lot of flexibility with the reconfigure. It's great.
Yeah, not that this is not necessarily a great example of a splashable card, but just thinking about that. Here we do have, well, another one of the X spells, which these can be splashable. March of Reckless Joy, which is X and red for a rare instant. And as an additional cost to cast it, you may exile any number of red cards from your hand. The spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. And what it does is exile the top X cards of your library. You may play up to 2 of those cards until the end of your next turn.
Red card draw, kind of interesting. But kind of weird, too.
So for 3 mana, let's say you're going to want to do, this is X equals 2 or more. For 3 mana, you get an instant speed light up the stage, right? Or the reckless impulse kind of thing.
Yeah. It's kind of.
But it has the upside of kind of digging further for better selection.
Right. It does feel like kind of like late game value. Like maybe you have more mana available and you're like, wow, I need to find this removal spell. So exile whatever on your turn and hope to find one. And then your next turn, you get to play another card from it. So it's a little narrow, kind of.
Yeah, so I think this is a B minus, or
I'm on C.
I'll
I'm on
say
C
B
plus.
minus, C plus.
Yeah, I'm gonna say C plus for this one.
All right, I'll say. Do I like if you hold up mana and then you're like, okay, kind of cast this end of their turn as a card draw thing, and then you have to cast them on your turn. It's fine. Yeah, B minus, C plus. I do think. Okay, I'll say C plus.
Okay.
I think you're going to be happy with it. There are going to be some red decks that don't care about it as much as other red decks, though.
Right. Next up, Ogre Headhelm. 1 in a red for a 2/2 artifact creature equipment ogre. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 whenever Ogre Headhelm or equipped creature deals combat damage to a player. You may sacrifice it. If you do, discard your hand, draw 3 cards. I like this card because it's a good 2-drop that you can reconfigure and just throw +2/+2 around on your creatures, and I think that's like pretty solid. And then eventually, when you're out of cards, you could sacrifice the equipped creature. Is that correct? And re-up.
Yeah, unless this is the thing that attacks.
I like this card. I'm not sure if I go to B plus. I think I just start at B with this one. I think it's a little bit narrow. The reconfigure 3 is like not amazing for what you get from it. But I do think it's going to be a solid little card that you're going to be happy to run. So I'll say B.
Yeah. So just if it's a bear, 2 mana 2/2, and then you can turn it into an equipment +2/+2. I think that's already quite good.
Yeah,
And so it
yeah.
has this kind of like ability, which is situational but powerful in some situations as a additional value on top of that. So I think it's a B plus
Okay. I
or
could see.
B.
I say B, but I could see B plus. I mean, B
Right.
B's
Throwing
nothing to
around
scoff at. Yeah.
yeah, it's like being able to move around +2/+2. That's quite good. I'll say B. It's a B or a B plus for me.
Sounds good.
All right. Next up, we have Scrap Welder,
Yep.
and this is a 2 and a red for 3/3 Goblin Artificer at rare, and it has tap, sacrifice an artifact with mana value X, return target artifact card with mana value less than X from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste till end of turn. So what was that called? The Goblin Welder? Is that original? I think that's the original card that kind of did a similar sacrifice an artifact, get an artifact back.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So this is cool. Maybe it's a reference to that. 3 mana 3/3 with that upside. That's pretty cool. Goblin Welder. Okay, yeah. That's pretty. It's pretty good. It's got a high enough floor with just a 3 mana 3/3, and there are some decent, like, I don't know. I'm still thinking about ways to get things in your graveyard,
Yeah.
which I saw like there's one rare that doesn't even look that good that will mill you.
There's a lot of graveyard stuff happening.
There are maybe a couple things that let you rummage, some ways to loot. So maybe that's kind of what you have to keep an eye out for. But this looks solid. I'll say it's a B minus.
Yep, exactly what I was thinking too. I'll be trying to figure out ways to make this have fun synergies. I really am gonna try to keep a lookout for these like loop type value engines things running around in the set.
Yeah, scale down means you can't like, oh, sacrifice my treasure and I'll get my Inkwell Leviathan.
All right, both on B minus. Next up here, Thundering Raiju, 2 red for a 3/3 haste spirit at rare. Whenever this attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then the Thundering Raiju deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of modified creatures you control other than this creature. So 40 cast 3/3 haste, and you get to throw a counter as soon as it attacks. So you can throw it on itself. So it's like a 40 cast 4/4 haste. So it's really good. Then it deals X damage to each. So it includes itself. So it's a 40 cast 4/4 haste that deals 1 at worst case scenario.
Other than Thundering Raiju.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you just
Sorry.
have it.
Sorry, yeah, other than Thundering. Okay, so 40 cast 4/4 haste. If you have another modified creature, it deals 1 to each opponent. I like this card a lot in an aggressive deck. This is just a solid B plus to me. Like really solid card. In the deck, if you're in like a red green modifying deck, this is like gonna edge towards A territory, maybe A minus, but I think it's just a B plus.
Yeah, so
The fact that it just pings your opponent, quite a bit.
If you're not able to attack, it's a little bit sad because it's a 4 mana 3/3 haste.
Sure.
But I think if you have this, try to be an aggressive deck.
Yeah, exactly.
From what we've seen in this, like there are a lot of reasons to be aggressive, and we haven't seen too many reasons to dirtle. We've seen dirtling payoffs and stuff. We haven't seen too many reasons to be defensive. There are a lot of things that reward you for attacking. But yeah, so make sure if you're attacking, and then 4 mana 4/4 haste would be great as a kind of baseline for this. I guess I'll give it a little bit of a knock because if you can't attack with it at first, then a 4 mana 3/3 haste is kind of sad. but for the most part, this is going to be good. So I'm going to say B.
All right. I'll say B plus. I'll be a little too hot on it, I guess.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be great a lot of the time.
Right. Alrighty. Next up. Oh, that's it for red.
Is that it? All right. So I think we just have some artifacts and lands, and then that's it.
Green first. And then,
We do?
Yeah.
Oh, we do have green. Haha.
But yeah, we're getting there. It's the last color here. First green rare. Dragon Kami Reborn.
All right.
This seems high cost for setup. I just think if you're in an aggressive deck, and you're like curving out, like this really could just be a big pressure to your opponent.
Yeah. So here's Dragon Kami Reborn, which is 2 and a green for a rare saga. Chapters 1 and 2. You gain 2 life. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Exile one of them face down with a hatching counter on it. Then put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Okay, so you gain 4 life with a couple exiled cards. Then chapter 3, exile it, return it, transformed. And you have Dragon Kami's Egg, which is an 0/1 egg creature. And whenever it or a dragon you control dies, you may cast a creature spell from among cards you own in exile with hatching counters on them without paying its mana cost. Kind of takes some work, but then you get some value. You have this as a jump blocker or whatever.
It seems a little dirtily
powerful. So
powerful,
you look at the
but
top
dirtily.
3 cards, and you want to get
creatures. Yeah, and you gain 4, which helps with the dirtiness of it, I guess.
It's pretty cool. It's got enough.
But then
elements to it.
This dies, and you choose one of the creatures. Basically, like, how are you gonna? You need like some weird setup.
Free.
Yeah.
Oh wait. So when this dies, you can only choose
one of them. Exactly.
One of them.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't super stoked on it.
Oh, because otherwise you need another dragon.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward. I don't
like
know.
this because you're not going to get the 2-for-1 most of the time.
It seems dirtily.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm in C territory, I guess.
Yeah, it was originally when I was thinking you could get both of your hatching cards.
I'm going to be harsh on this one and say like C- until proven otherwise. It does feel kind of like filler because like there's just other cards you're going to want in your deck, right? Like you're just going to want to affect the board more than this.
Yeah, because are you just going to want to put this into a random green deck?
Are you going to want to like hope for turn 5 or 6 to it hopefully dies and then you get that creature eventually? Or would you rather have something that does more to affect the game?
Yeah, and there aren't really cheap dragons that I know of in this set.
Yeah, it's like a C- or D+. I don't even know.
I'll say C-.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, pretty weird.
All right, next up. What's the next rare here? Invoke for green. We'll see what it says. 1 green, sorcery. Create 2/4/5 green spirit creature tokens. For each of them, put your choice of vigilance counter, reach counter, or trample counter on it. Okay, I can get behind this one. Very clearly a modified card. You're getting 2 bodies for 1 value, even though the mana cost is a little tricky. You can say, oh, I got a 4/4 vigilance and a 4/5 vigilance and a 4/5 trample. A lot of the times I feel like you're just going to get 2 4/5 vigilance creatures and be able to just like jam like attacks in with it. I kind of like this one more than the other invokes because it's pretty clear what you get and you're going to want it quite often. So what was the highest invoke we gave? Was it like a B+?
Yeah, so we weren't crazy about the black and red
ones. The blue one is the one that we gave a decent grade to.
Oh, the blue one is like a mind control.
Yeah.
And so this one
similar value.
This one and the blue one might be the 2 best ones.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, and reach will be handy sometimes too, for sure. This is solid. I don't know. B+. Like I'm pretty happy about this one. It does have a
Yeah.
prohibitive mana cost, but like you're gonna build your deck accordingly to be able to cast it. When you do, you're pretty happy about what you're getting for it, in my opinion.
I think just like the blue one, where it's like, okay, if you get this during pack one of the draft, then you can really make sure that you can cast it and build a deck to support it, and then it's great. And so I think similarly with this, if you can get it early in the draft, then it's going to be a really powerful card. It's going to be like one of the best cards in your deck. So
Yeah.
I'd say a B plus, which is kind of weighing the upside of it being basically A level in a um, like mono green deck and the prohibitive mana cost.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. That was a cool one.
All right. Next up, we have Jugen Defends the Temple, which is 2 and a green for a Mythic saga. And chapter 1, it's create a 1/1 green human monk creature token with tap, add a green.
Nice.
All right, so you get like an elvish mystic Llanowar elf. Then chapter 2, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Nice. And then chapter 3, exile it and return it transformed, and you get Remnant of the Rising Star, which is a 2/2 flying dragon spirit. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay X. When you do, put X +1/+1 counters on that creature. That's pretty cool. So you can just make your creatures bigger that way when they enter. And then as long as you control 5 or more modified creatures, Remnant of the Rising Star gets +5/+5 and has trample. This is so good. So just by itself, you'll end up having a 2/2 mana dork.
This card's crazy.
And a 2/2 flyer, and then you'll pump your other things.
Wow.
But then it's got so much more.
I love this card.
Yeah, so
It's like an A.
I'll give it an A.
Yeah, me too. This is wild. Wow,
Yeah,
wow, wow.
Super good.
Cool. My gosh.
All right.
What a card. Moving on. Kami of Transience. It's 1 and a green for a 2/2 creature spirit rare trample. So 2 to cast 2/2 trample. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, put a counter on this. At the beginning of each end step, if an enchantment was put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn, you may return Kami of Transience from your graveyard to your hand. This card's great. 2 to cast 2/2 trample with real upside. Get counters on it. Kind of grows. We're not seeing a lot of bounce in this set, so this kind of thing, this kind of effect is going to be more powerful in this kind of environment, in my opinion. Bounce punishes this kind of thing. We've done the full set review now, and there's not that much bounce to interact with these kind of effects. So that being said,
You kind of want the arrest would be like the best answer to it.
right?
Kind of
Exactly.
that in exile.
And then it keeps coming back. I think I put this in like B plus camp. I don't think I put it in A minus, but it's gonna wear whatever you want to put on it really well. It's gonna grow. It's gonna be a threat. It's gonna be good early and good throughout the game. So it's just a really solid card and a pull into green. So I just rate it as a solid B plus.
I'm thinking B plus too. If you can be, if you've got the green white kind of enchantments deck in this format, then it could bump it up even into the kind of A minus range.
Right.
And the fact that just even without the ability to come back from the graveyard, that's just really good. 2 mana, 2/2 trample. That's going to grow. And
Keywords are just
you're going to get really good
too.
value from it later. So
Yeah.
maybe it should be A minus, but A minus in the enchantments deck. Otherwise, I could B plus.
Sounds good.
And next up, we have Kodama of the West Tree. So Kodama of the West Tree is 2 and a green for a 3/3 legendary spirit at Mythic. And it's got reach. So 3 mana, 3/3 reach. Modified creatures you control have trample. And whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, Search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So, 3 mana, 3/3 reach
I like this
with
card.
all this upside.
Yeah.
I think the green-red modified deck is going to be really fun to play.
I agree.
And so this is fine on its own, but you can get some really good value with it. Otherwise,
Red green card.
I'm gonna say it's pretty sweet. It may not be broken, but it's a B plus.
Yep. Easy B plus for me too. Cool. All right. Like that card a lot. Next up, the Green Dragon. 3 green for a mythic legendary creature dragon spirit. Kura the Boundless Sky. It's flying and death touch. When Kura the Boundless Sky dies, choose one. Search your library for up to 3 lands, reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle. Or create an XX green spirit creature token where X is the number of lands you control. Wow. So it just replaces itself with a 5/5 at least or better. Another A. I don't think there's a lot of discussion here. All of the dragons in all these colors are bombs. So
yeah, another A. I think usually you'll make the XX token, and that's going to be pretty great.
Yeah, it replaces itself pretty great. Could argue maybe A minus because I guess making that token isn't as amazing as some of the other ones, but I don't even think it's worth arguing. So anyway.
Yeah, I think it's A for me.
Yeah, A for me too.
So some more interesting art, really cool art in this set. We have March of the Burgeoning Life. And this is the green rare X spell, part of that whatever, all those X spells at rare. And this is an instant for X and a green. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may exile any number of green cards from your hand. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. And you choose target creature with mana value less than X. Search your library for a creature card with the same name as that creature. Put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle.
Ugh. Constructed.
I don't know if this is what you want in limited.
I'm just going to say F. It's my first F on a rare.
So you have to have multiples of the creature you're targeting.
Build around D. It's like, yeah.
Oh man, this is so bad sometimes.
It's just an F. I think you just don't play this card ever. You're sad if you open
don't
this.
Want it. You don't want it in limited.
Yeah.
So it's a constructed card, and yeah, whatever you call this cycle of cards, this is probably the worst for limited. But yeah, really cool art.
Yeah, for sure. All right, first F for rare. Rares have been pretty strong so far. Shigeki Jukai Visionary, 1 and a green for a legendary enchantment creature, Snake Druid. It has the ability 1 and green, tap, return Shigeki Jukai Visionary to its owner's hand. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped. Put the rest into your graveyard. So it has like a little built-in ramp feature, I guess, with it. It also has channel XX green, discard this card, return X, target non-legendary cards from your graveyard to your hand. This feels a little dirtily.
That's pretty fun. I like it. Yeah, I like the dirtly aspect of it.
Feels quite dirtily. I think you'll play this, but it's not amazing. I think you could argue it's better than filler. I'll probably just say C on this one. I'm not convinced that this is like what you want to be doing. The channel, even though that adds flexibility and modality, like is double X green. So I guess late in the game, you could get some value from it, and you can ramp a couple times. You're definitely dirtling with it. So I think it's a C.
So it's too bad that you have to also tap 1 in the green and tap.
Yeah, you wait the turn after you play it. Yeah,
play it and then like
it's dirtly for sure.
Play it and then block and bounce it, which you'd have to wait a turn.
Yeah.
To do that right, you can do it instant speed.
Yeah.
But I like that you can play it as a 1/3, get some value off of it, and you can block and bounce it.
It's so dirty.
So maybe that lets you dirtle a little bit. But then once you've hopefully developed your board a bit more, then you can channel it, maybe paying 6 mana to get 2 cards back. I like it.
You're
It's
just
super
like
durably.
you're trying to find the silver lining. You're like maybe
No, but I
later
mean
in the
that's
game you have like 8 mana and you
but
could.
that's the play pattern.
No, I
It
know, I
gets
know.
you that mana, and then because you can return it to your hand, then you use the channel ability.
Yeah, that's
But
fair.
actually top decking this though too.
It's not the worst. Yeah.
If you top deck this and you're like, okay, I'll just use the channel ability now for 4 mana, 6
Guess you could
mana
argue C
at instant
plus,
speed.
but I don't know.
I think the channel ability
It's a
is.
C for me.
I give it a
A plus.
B.
What? Oh,
B or B minus.
what am I missing if you give that a B and I'm at a C? Well, it doesn't matter. We don't
Putting
have
the
to.
channel ability on top of everything, I think it's pretty sweet. Because early game, you have this as a 1/3, you do some stuff. Late game, you top deck this and you have a 6 mana instant or something to get back a couple of cards, and that can be pretty backbreaking. Otherwise, yeah, like this is something
I
where
just don't think
if
you're
I'm
gonna
green
want
and
to.
I see this in a draft, I'm gonna be like, yes.
I don't think you're gonna want to time walk yourself late game to get back like 3 cards from your graveyard for like 10 mana, and then the 1/3 that like 3 turns later can get you a land. I don't know. I see the flexibility, I see the upside, but I also see the floor being not great. So anyway, you say
But
B, I say C.
if you start a draft green, then are you going to be like excited to see this card mid pack, or are you going to be like, I'm really just looking for the punch spell
I'd probably
or
be
something?
looking for the punch spell. I feel like
Yeah,
I'll say C. You
this
say
one
B minus. Is that where we're at?
I'm just gonna say B. So I guess it's a
Okay.
bit hot on that.
It's pulling at the dirtily strings in your heart.
So you get non-legendary cards from it.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah, yeah. So you'd use a channel to get non-legendary cards.
Green Ninja.
All right. So is it
Your go.
my turn to read one? All right. Springleaf Avenger. Okay. Springleaf Avenger is 3 green green for a 6/5 insect ninja at rare. It's got ninjutsu, 3 and a green. And whenever Springleaf Avenger deals combat damage to a player, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Ooh. So this is. I already like just the 5/5 ninjutsu for
Yeah.
4 in black, which I thought that was solid. This gives you like instant value, and it's just like a big beater, and you can probably, yeah, it might be able to get multiple good attacks in with it, and they're either gonna have to chump it or you're gonna get through.
A 5 to cast
I
six
like,
5, or yeah, which is already good, or ninja it in for crazy value.
yeah, I'm thinking like
Modify
A
this.
A minus.
Yeah, it's up there.
I don't know. It's pretty great. What do you think?
It's a 6/5 for 4 if you ninja it. If you cast it on its own, it's a 5 to cast 6/5. Yeah, it's a. I'll go A minus.
Cool. Yeah, definitely be happy to pick one this, and I don't know. That's just nobody's gonna pass that if they're green.
Right. For sure. Cool. Teachings of the Kirin next up. It's a 1 and a green rare saga. Mill 3 cards. Create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. That's chapter 1. Chapter 2, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Chapter 3, exile and transform into Kirin Touched Orochi. It's an enchantment creature snake monk 1/1. Whenever this attacks, choose one, exile target creature card from a graveyard. When you do, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token, or exile target non-creature card from a graveyard. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Okay, so it's a 2/2 on the front side, right? If you look at it that way. And then on the back side, it's another 2/2 for 2 mana.
And it mills you, which we were kind of looking for ways to mill.
I think this card's sweet. Like, what was that 1-drop in Midnight Hunt that like somehow people were still underrating? I loved that card, by the way. The Sprout, Deathbloom Sprout.
Oh yeah, Death Bonnet. I think the
Yeah, Death
uncommon.
Bonnet Sprout. I loved that card, and people were still undervaluing it.
Yeah.
This is sweet.
So
I don't know.
I think if you don't get your hopes up too much with the flip side being a 1/1 that has to attack, because then it is like it's not gonna have good attacks unless you modify it. It can get a +1/+1 counter on it and attack as a 2/2, I think.
I think it's
But
quote unquote slow, but I think it's a 2 to cast 1/1, and then it just has incremental upside from there. So I don't think it's
yeah,
bad.
if you look at it as 2 mana, enable some stuff by
It's
milling, and you
it's
get a
not a
2/2 and a 1/1.
it's
That's
not
pretty
a
good.
turn 5/1/1. It's a turn 1/1/1. On the front side, immediately when you play it, you get a 1/1. But yeah.
If you do
That it's played. Turn 2
two,
1/1.
three,
Sorry.
it can attack on turn 5 as a 1/1.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, it can attack on turn 2, or sorry, turn 3 as a 2/2. But yeah.
I think it's good though because you're getting multiple
Value for 2
bodies.
mana.
I'd
Yeah.
say you're getting 3 or 4 power and toughness for 2 mana and with other upsides. So I'll give it a B.
I'll give it a B too. Not like stoked about it. I don't think this is like a bomb or anything, but I think it's good value for 2 mana.
Yeah, it synergizes with stuff too.
Flip side is very slow. Oh, for sure. I agree. Um,
Yeah, I
but
think of it as
it's
1/1 with minor upside, but potential if you modify it to do even more.
yeah, I think it's just a good 2-drop. If you think about this as this entire card as a 2-drop, this is a good 2-drop. That's kind of how I think about it.
Mm.
All right. Next up, Weaver of Harmony. 1 and a green for a 2/2 enchantment creature, Snake Druid. Other enchantment creatures you control get +1/+1. It has green and tap. Copy target activated or triggered ability you control from an enchantment source. You may choose new targets for the copy. Copy target
So that
activated
includes
or
sagas, right?
triggered ability you control. So with
So
a
sagas are
saga
triggered.
trigger on the stack, you would tap this to copy that effect, basically.
Yep.
That's cool. And it pumps all
And
your other enchantment creatures, enchantment lords,
mhm,
as like a green-white lord. This is like a B plus for me. I like this card a lot.
that's what I was thinking too. There are a lot of enchantment creatures, and if you have this, some sagas, that's gonna do a lot for 2 mana.
Yeah, this is great.
And I mean, a lot of the saga, it's weird. The the individual chapters of most of these sagas aren't super high impact, so it's like you're just getting a little bit of value for a lot of these things. Because I think they put most of the value in the sagas by like you get a creature at the end.
Oh yeah, you would
Um,
pick one
but
this a good amount of the time. B plus, I think puts
yeah,
that at a grade that you would pack one, pick one.
yeah, I think I'd be happy to start with it.
Yeah, so B plus for
All
me.
right, so that's green.
Yeah. So now we just have artifacts and lands.
Yeah.
Okay. Eater of Virtue.
And now we have Eater of Virtue, which is 1 mana for legendary equipment at rare. Whenever equipped creature dies, exile it. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. And as long as a card exiled with Eater of Virtue has flying, equipped creature has flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Protection, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance.
What the fuck?
Pretty cool. And it's equip 1. So the Bone Splitter with that crazy upside. And the downside of exiling the creatures is really outweighed by the upside of everything
So
else.
it's understanding as long as a card exiled with Eater of Virtue has flying, equipped creature. Oh, I see. So you want to get this on a flyer and then just attack until like opponent's forced to do something with it, and then you get crazy upside from there. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's crazy with like Bone Splitter, kind of like having that before,
So it's
you
just
just have a power boost. They're not going to want to just take that, and it's gonna trade off a bunch and then get other abilities.
it just wants keywords. That's yeah. It's just like crazy good. Wow. So
It's gonna be a good
two
pack one, pick one to start with a really
two
good colorless
mana
card.
+2/+0. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So
The equip
it kind
being
of
one is crazy.
does it stack the abilities of the keywords from the cards it's exiled, or is it just one at a time?
Yeah, so if you've traded off a lifelink creature and a
A hex
menace
per
creature,
first strike, then
then
it
this
just retains
gives
all that.
+2/+0 lifelink menace.
My God, I
So
love this
I think
card.
this is quite good.
A minus, so cheap. It just
This is like
put it in any deck.
it's like an A plus pack one pick one.
Yeah,
Just starting with a bomb
I guess
colorless
it's
card.
absurd. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
I could.
I'll say A.
Yeah, sure. A seems pretty ridiculous. Okay.
Oh yeah, you could sack your own indestructible creature. That's true. That's one that's not going to come up as often, is it?
Next up, we've got another vehicle. There's a surprising amount of vehicles in the set. Mectician Core. It's 2 colors for a 2/4 artifact vehicle at rare. It is 5. Exile Mectician Core and 4 other artifact creatures and or vehicles you control. Create a Mectician.
Mech
Create.
Titan. It's like the middle of the mech.
Oh,
right?
Mectician, not Mectician. Mectitan.
Mech
Create
Titan, yeah.
Mectitan, a legendary 10/10 construct artifact creature token with flying, vigilance, trample, lifelink, and haste that's all colors. When that token leaves the battlefield, return all cards exiled with Mectitan Core, except Mectitan Core, to the battlefield, tapped under their owner's control.
So the flavor is you make a big Power Rangers Tron whatever, or I mean
Yeah.
whatever Transformer Tron, and you like sacrifice all the other artifacts. That's pretty fun. This is gonna be a fun card to play with, whether it's good or
Yeah.
not.
So 5 exile this, and it's a build around 4 other artifact creatures. And you just 4 for 1 yourself and make a token. That's kind of memey.
Yeah, but the token
Is
as long
absurd.
as it doesn't get arrested,
You win the
then,
game. Yeah.
that's pretty sweet.
Like
Definitely gonna try it. This is gonna be fun to build around.
Yeah, build around B minus. They come back. Yes.
Yeah, they do come back.
That's true. That's true. You're not
if the thing
forfeiting
leaves.
yourself. There is an
Yeah,
arrest.
so there is the. It's like if you play against white and you just cross your fingers that they don't have it, or you just don't worry about.
This is like a
playing
build
around that.
around B minus, but if you just play this on like face value, it's not exciting at all.
So yeah, because 2 mana for a 2/4 crew 2
Not
is
exciting.
something that I don't think I would play in an average deck.
No, I would not.
So to play it for the like crazy upside, maybe in blue white it cares about these like vehicle stuff, and you'd want multiple vehicles. And you can also have, some of the cheap artifacts. Like there's a common artifact creature, the 3 mana to make a 1/1 flyer and a 1/1 colorless spirit. Oh wait, the colorless spirit's not an artifact creature.
I'll say build
I
around
guess
B.
you have
That's
some
my
stuff.
grade. Build around B. Otherwise, this is like not playable.
Some sacrifice fodder. Yeah, it's a build around B minus.
Sure.
It's gonna be so fun to play with. For the most part, I think you don't put this in most
deck.
decks.
Yeah, I agree.
You say build around C plus?
No, I said build around B.
B. Okay.
B or B minus, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. So next up, we didn't do a mirror box yet.
Weird. Sorry, I missed that.
You see that one?
Yeah, it didn't look like a rare to me.
Yeah. All right. So this is 3 mana for a rare artifact. The legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control. Each legendary creature you control gets +1/+1, and each non-token creature you control gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control with the same name as that creature. Maybe this is like a commander card, or it's sounds like fun. I don't think you want this in limited. Pumps up. I mean, there is a
weird
legendary
build-around,
theme, and we have uncommon legends in this set, I think. For the most part, I don't think you want it in limited. I think it's more of a
F.
constructed card.
I think F is a good place to start. You could argue D minus.
Yeah, I'll say limited F.
Yeah. All right, Reckoner Bank Buster. 2 colors for a 4/4. Actually, let me see how I can mispronounce this to trigger chat a little bit more. Reckoner Bank Bruiser is a 2 colorless 4/4 artifact vehicle. When Reckoner Bank Bruiser enters the battlefield with 3 counters on it. Sorry, chat. I'll stop. It has 2 colorless and tap. Remove a charge counter from Reckoner Bank Buster. Draw a card. Then if there are no counters on this, create a treasure token and a 1/1 colorless pilot creature token with this creature crews vehicle. They couldn't make this more fucking confusing. This creature crews vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. It's a 2 to cast 4/4 vehicle with crew 3. Okay. You can tap 2 and tap to remove a charge counter from this, draw a card. Then if there are no counters on it, create a treasure token and a 1/1 pilot token that crews vehicles as though they were 2 greater. So you can, how many counters? It comes with 3. So you can draw 3 cards off of it slowly, which is cool for 2 mana, but it's kind of dirtly. And then you get a 1/1 that can crew this. So you get 3 cards in installments, and then it can crew this. I don't know. I'm not excited about cards like this, generally speaking, in limited. What was it? The Journal and Vow was pretty underwhelming to me. It kind of has like a journal vibe to it. You're like, oh, play this. And then like I just like slowly draw a card here and there, and your opponent's like, okay, I'll just win. So, and
I think
then
it's pretty sweet because if you don't have stuff to crew it, it ends up making something to crew it. Otherwise, getting a 4/4 or the threat of a 4/4 to block if you're kind of more defensive,
it's okay.
That's not bad, and you're going to get value with this.
I guess you can draw cards off it. Sure, I'll go B minus. That's my top for this card.
Okay, I'm going B for it.
I'm not excited. But I guess I can see some like, okay, cool, it just gets in and it blocks, and then end of your turn draw a card, kind of stuff like that. Get some value from it. But I don't know. It feels okay.
Like after reading it, it's like, okay, it makes sense, but it's a lot of words. But the design of how I think it's going to play out is going to be decent.
Sure. All right, so B minus for me, B for you. And
all right, next up,
yeah.
Surge Hacker Mech, which is 4 mana for a 5/5 vehicle at rare. It's got Menace, and when it enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to twice the number of vehicles you control to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. All right, creature or planeswalker, and has crew 4. So it's really interesting the things that like want you to have multiple vehicles. That could end up being a fun deck, but
Build around,
in itself is going to be a deck that might have a lot of weaknesses.
I think that's why you want the Wrath for this kind of deck. If you kind of go all in, like having the Wrath would be nice protection. At least that's how I see it.
If you use this as like an overcosted removal spell, so number of vehicles you control. I mean, how often are you gonna? If you can do 2 damage with this, if you have another vehicle, I think this is a good card, and you just pick off something. But otherwise,
would you consider this a build around?
Yeah, I think it's a build around.
In
a vehicle deck.
Build around then, B minus, which is kind of sad. I don't know.
Sure, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. I guess I'm gonna. Hopefully, the vehicles will play out differently than they have in the set. They're really trying to make it happen. So, if they've done their research, it should be all right.
Like, yeah, if this can pick something off though when it enters, then it makes up for the kind of like weird tempo and lack of affecting the board, like that this awkward vehicle provides.
Right. Well, that's going to do it for artifacts, and then we'll finish up here with lands. I think there's 1 of each color legendary land. Bosaijo, who endures first, is a legendary land that taps for green, or it has channel 1 and a green. Discard this. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land an opponent controls. That player may search your library for a land card with a basic land type, put it onto the battlefield, and shuffle. This ability costs 1 less to cast for each legendary creature you control. So yeah, this will be good in like different constructed formats. In limited, it's actually not irrelevant. The channel ability, being able to blow up an artifact or an enchantment, is going to always have a pretty good target. Otherwise, it's a land, so that kind of flexibility is not bad. I don't know, where would you put this? If you're a green deck, you just play this. C plus. C plus.
Oh, I missed that mech does deal 2 as the floor. Okay.
Yeah.
My bad. Maybe I'm gonna give it a. Okay, I'm gonna switch it.
Build around B.
Yeah,
sure.
So for Boseiju, I think these are great because they're just untapped lands with channel upsides.
Yeah.
So
C plus.
Yeah, and because you're always going to have plenty of playables and limited, you'd be pretty happy to draft this. So C plus, B minus. Sure, I'll say C plus too.
Cool. Here's the white one for you.
All right, Aganjo, Seed of the Empire, which is legendary land, taps for white, and it's got channel, 2 and a white, discard it. It deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature, and it costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control.
That's cool.
That's a super relevant. That's just like land/removal spell, and
B minus for this one, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's...
Yeah, I love that flexibility.
Yeah.
I'll say a B.
B, sure. The fact that it's a removal spell, too, is pretty sweet. All right, the blue one is next. Otawara Soaring City is the rare cycle of this. Taps for blue, channel, 3 and a blue, discard this, return target artifact, creature, enchantment, or planeswalker to its owner's hand. That's cool. An instant bounce spell or a blue land. I think this one's also just a C plus.
Yeah.
I could argue B minus on this. I don't know. Bounce is pretty nice to have. Yeah, I'll say B minus. There's not a lot of bounce in this set. Having this kind of effect is cool.
Yeah, I'll say B minus too. I think it's just such a good upside with no real cost for limited.
Right. All right, we got the red one.
Next up, we have Sokenzan Crucible of Defiance, which is rare legendary land, taps for red, and has channel 3 and a red. Discard it to create 2 1/1 colorless spirit creature tokens to gain haste until end of turn. Costs 1 less for each legendary creature you control. So 4 mana, instant speed, flash in a couple 1/1s with haste. Pretty sweet to have that upside. So this one also a B minus.
Sure.
I think.
Yeah. Seems fine to me. And then I think this is our last card, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to speak too early, but I believe this is the last card for us to review. Takanuma Abandoned Mire is a black legendary land this cycle. 3 and a black, discard Takanuma Abandoned Mire, mill 3 cards, and return a creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. It gets 1 line. I like this flexibility a lot too. Instant speed, get something back from your yard is pretty spicy. I think this is also a B minus, honestly.
Mill 3 and return a creature or planeswalker. Huh.
At instant speed.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, which one is the best?
The white
and the black one I like a lot.
Okay, you could argue B, I guess. I don't know.
I'll say I think I like the white and the black ones the most. I'll say B for that.
Sure.
Cool.
That is gonna do it. Yes, I can't believe we actually finished. I'm like, is there more to review? I'll just leave it on this. The last one we did. But yeah, that's gonna do it, chat. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Really appreciate it.